Peace. Assalamu alaikum. Hotep. Shalom. Shalom. Namaste. Jumbo. Ashe. All the greetings of love and light that you know. All the greetings of love and light to the darkest minds of the light. I am Napashada. I need to talk about this. I know it's late, but every time I put it off, more stuff comes out in the news that I need to warn people about or to just point out about what you are going to expect from this Trump administration, things that he was already doing in his playbook with the regime that is behind him. By the way, this is all my opinion. This is all alleged, and this is all information that is coming from my personal commentary. Okay. Peace to everybody in the chat. I see you. Peace, Caleb, Chakra King, Black, and JG. So let me just jump. When you see the title, it says, are we in the, okay, so Trump starts a second presidential term as U.S. president. Are we in the Fifth Reich? We are in the Fifth Reich. I used to teach this extensively. I have a channel called Phineas the Zealot. I'm going to cover some stuff that some videos that I had created during Trump's first term. When he was the president, I think don't quote me, but he was let me look it up. What president was he? Trump was, what prez was Trump? Number. He was this is sad too. So he was the 45th. I was going to say 45th, but I wasn't sure. So he's the 45th president. Now he's the 47th. Okay. So when he was the 45th president of the United States, I was still covering a lot. Let me get right to it. The Fifth Reich is what we're in right now. Oh, yeah, I do. I have a channel called Phineas the Zealot. So thank you, Hebrew. He was I should have looked at the chat. So he was the 45th president. And at that time, people called me crazy. You said, oh, this is all conspiracy theory. Okay, yeah, it's theory. It's just my opinion, but it came together. I'm all over the place because there's so much, but let me stay on track about this airline thing. But it's not just the airline thing, like the assassination of the United Healthcare executive. All of that is what is similar to some things that happened when Trump was president before. President Trump's mission working from, at the direction of the regime. I'm going to call them the regime. I'm not going to say Illuminati or, the deep state. I'm not saying all that, even though I just said it. But let's just call it the regime. And each president works for the regime in some way. Each administration, I should say, not an individual. But Trump's administration works. He has a purpose for the regime. And you will see things like, mark my words, get your notebooks out, write this down, say Napashada and whoever else. I heard this on this date. It is to restrict travel. Let me say that 3 times. To restrict travel, one more time. His administration is ordered from the regime to make sure that he restricts travel. That is what his administration is set to do. There is a reason, big reason behind it, a bigger reason. But if you watch this administration, you will see extreme travel restriction is one of his goals and one of his directives. Another one is to reduce the population via limited health care. It's called culling. His administration is supposed to restrict travel. This is my opinion for YouTube's sake, but the research is there. I researched this it's going to be about even before him, since 2015. I've been looking into this. I think that's around when he was president too. But anyway, I digress. Maybe 2017. But I've been looking into this a long time, and I left it alone because it just got so, like overwhelming to where, what can we do? But now I'm back on it. He's restricting travel. And thank you, James Davis. And he also is set to do the culling of the population. Culling of the population means thinning the herd. And the way he does that is, number one, it will affect health care. Okay, this is a second point. He's restricting travel with the administration, not his administration. Okay, restrict travel, cull the herd through limiting health care and public assistance to those who are impoverished or in need. Now, some people say good. No, it's not good, because every society has a portion of the society that needs assistance. That's why it's called a society. They work together. Like in Eastern European countries, they have great programs for healthcare. In like let's say Scandinavian European countries, they do. There, of course, people say, you said Eastern European, I can point out so many people that are impoverished. What I'm saying is, every society that is industrialized has a system set up for those who are in need. In this country specifically, you will see the administration start to cut back on healthcare for, it's like Medicaid, Medicare, what do you say? The food assistance, housing assistance, assistance for veterans. It's going to be decimated. As much as they can cut back on it, they will, because they know that will accelerate the demise, the expiration of those of people, because the goal is to reduce the population. So this administration has a history of restricting travel, reducing population, and then the last one that you will see for sure is, this is very important, these 3 points, the infrastructure of the United States, the actual infrastructure, like the architecture, the way the roads are set out, the way the cities are set up. Because remember, that's him. He built buildings, and I'm that real estate president. I build all these great, what is it, Taj Mahal and all the other Trump towers. But it's not just about buildings. They're going to focus on highways. Now, it ties back into the restriction of travel, because there are different types of roadways, highways, that the average citizen doesn't even know about. What am I talking about? There are underground highways. There are above ground highways that you don't even know, that you can't even travel, there's restricted access. Have you ever been traveling on an interstate highway, and then you notice there's like an off ramp or like a exit sign for some place that's like, it says, I'm just making this up, okay, so don't, like Lydia Road, and you look and if it's in the day, you're driving and you drive by that exit of Lydia Road and you see it goes off, and you're like, that goes nowhere, that's just going into some neighborhood. Like Lydia Road, it's like a little off exit, but it's tiny. That actually is one of those like clandestine entrances to parts of secret highways, so to speak. Now, one highway that they tried to keep it secret, but it was exposed by certain people like Alex Jones and other people, and that was the Texas Corridor Superhighway. The superhighway is 100% real, and that this administration, you will see a lot of things happening, like unexplained bridges falling, or certain things exploding in certain cities and areas. And like, remember the Atlanta bridge that just basically collapsed, the overpass, and people said they heard an explosion, and they tried to say it was some homeless people under the bridge that set something on fire, and that's why. No. Just like today, do you really think a Black Hawk helicopter just happened to be in the path of a commercial airline vehicle, an airplane, and they just happened to collide? That was not an accident. Allegedly. This is my opinion, YouTube. Why do I say it wasn't an accident? Because these helicopters are made to maneuver on the drop of a dime to get out of the way. And they are so advanced technology. They have such advanced technology on both ends. And the FAA with the air controlled, airline control towers, the towers, they do a great job. That's why they're saying that this is the worst accident in 24 years, because it wasn't an accident, from my informed opinion. And so your friend was on the Black Hawk. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm so sorry to hear that. That's terrible. I'm sorry. My condolences to you, Concordance. Andrew Eves, aka Baby G. I got friends in high places. So that's interesting. So, well, no, it doesn't matter who you voted for, Asiatic. It wouldn't matter. It doesn't matter if you voted for Trump or if you didn't vote for Trump. Trump was going to come into office. And I didn't vote for Trump. So this isn't the usual place that you usually go to. This is an actual channel where we don't throw mud and slander people. So take it easy in my chat, because you will be just watching from the sideline and not be able to comment if you're going to come in here and make up lies. There's enough lies on YouTube. We don't need lies over here. I didn't vote for Donald Trump, but after I voted for Kamala Harris, and I filmed it because certain people would say that I voted for Trump, I didn't like Kamala Harris's position on abortion, but that didn't mean that I didn't vote for her. I vocally said I don't like how she's pushing this, but I still voted for her. I voted for her for personal reasons. I knew she wasn't going to win. Okay? I knew that Trump was going to win, meaning there wasn't anything about winning anyway. I knew that Trump was set to be the 47th president of the United States. Let me put it that way. So take it easy. Let's see. Okay, Happy New Year. So let's take a look at some of my channel, and I want to show you some things. So I can show you what I've been talking about with Trump. So, and even with Elon Musk, I want to show you this one too. So 7 years ago, I was talking about Neuralace. I'm not flexing. I'm showing you that when you listen to me now, I'm not just doing this off the top of my head. They always like this because people don't know me. They're like, oh, now Napasha Dawes over there talking about Diddy, or now Napasha Dawes talking about Trump. I've been doing this. I just took a break from it because it was too much. So right here, you see this video that I have on my channel. Go subscribe to Phineas the Zealot. Let me show you the channel. This is my channel. It's called Phineas the Zealot. And I did a bunch of videos on this stuff. It was actually more than 7 years ago, but we'll go with 7 years. So Now, this one is called Trump and the NWO, the New World Order, 666 NAFTA Superhighway. I don't think it's called the North American Fair Trade Agreement anymore. It might be, but this is about trade. So I was going down a list of things you can look to. Also, you can look at Donald Trump and see that he will be basically trying to take Mexico. Yes. Basically, not trying to take Mexico. Let me take that back. Trying to show the public that Mexico belongs to the United States. People are laughing right now, but mark my words. Did you know that Canada, United States, and Mexico are really just one entity? I don't want to say country because they're different countries, but they're one entity when we're talking about commercial trade. When we're talking about commercial trade, I have to say that over and over. When we're talking about import and export, Canada, the US, and Mexico, they're all just one entity. So that's what the North American Fair Trade Agreement, that's part of it. But people say, you don't know what you're talking about. I know exactly what I'm talking about. China is the biggest trader, trader, in that particular when we're talking about trade in North America. Now people say, what do you mean? What do you mean in North America? China is over in China. No, now China is in Mexico. Especially in Mexico, they're completely set there. Just like they're set in certain countries in Africa, China is set in Mexico. Okay, it's large parts of Chinese economy and commerce is based on Chinese commercial and Chinese production of products. Get it? Chinese manufacturing, Chinese commerce, not Chinese trade. Actual Chinese companies are in Mexico employing Mexican citizens and on Mexican land, and they are creating Chinese products, and I'm doing air quotes, importing those products into the United States and into Canada. People think that when you see something made in China and you think it's coming from China, it's coming from Mexico. It's actually coming from Mexico. Donald Trump is wanting basically his administration to get a piece of that pie and set that up in the United States. But Donald Trump, he knows that his base is about, people, pure Aryan race, and all the people of Europe and of all these places are so superior. So he knows that he can't come in and say, listen, I want to have China in working, like I have China businesses right here on US soil, and I gotta, get a piece of this pie and make these billions. So he can't market it like that. So he's going to have to do it another way where he says, when I say he, I mean the administration, they say, okay, we're taking over Mexico. Yay, that's right. Take over Mexico, Donald Trump. We love you. And then the black men who love him so much, that's right. Show these black women that they ain't going to rule us. Go Donald Trump, so because that's his major supporters. Black men who want to put black women in their place, and the rest of them just white men who just are like the Proud Boys, and that's his, let's be real. So then he's like telling them, and I'm going to take Mexico, and remember the Alamo, I'm going to go ahead, and that's our land. And people are like, yay, but really he's negotiating behind scenes, or the regime with his administration, like, how can we get China on American soil and work out all this red tape. I mean, I'm kind of rough draft not rough around the edges, but you get what I'm saying, like, where we don't have to worry about all this importing from China business. We want to do like Mexico did. We don't want to have to pay, tariffs or whatever they call them, like on import. So we're going to have to work to where we get Chinese companies here in the United States. Mark my words. So that's one way. That's one thing you want to look out for. Donald Trump talking about he's going to take over Mexico. Just look for the little signs, or that he's going to do certain things like bring the businesses here. When really Donald Trump loves working offshore, but he'll make it like, oh, I want to bring all the business here. Another thing he's going to do is, when it comes to, remember I said the healthcare, you will hear him praising. Well, he already did this in the first when he first was the 45th president. He praised the Asian doctors, Asian tech people that were. He wanted them. He's so xenophobic, but for some reason he's always saying I'm getting all the foreigners out. But when it came to Asian doctors and Asian tech people, he was encouraging them to come to the United States, because he needed to set them up, number one, to assist in the executive order. I'm going to say it again, executive order that allows for the government pretty much to euthanize a lot of different people, particularly the elderly. He needed those doctors that I call DEATH doctors. Those are the doctors that he was bringing in from Asia, especially. Some from Africa, but mainly it was Asian doctors, especially from like Pakistan and India. He was bringing those doctors in, and not that these doctors are bad people, they're not, but they knew the assignment and they knew the protocol. And when you bring in a group of like a large group of healthcare providers who are not domestic, it's easier for them to stick by the rules and not let their feelings take over. That's just a known fact. If you displace a group of doctors from, I'm just going to throw it out and just be silly, like Papua New Guinea. Of course, there's not a large group of doctors in Papua New Guinea, but I just don't want to offend anybody. If I bring a bunch of doctors from Papua New Guinea, and I put them into Alaska, and I push out all the domestic doctors of Alaska, the people in Papua New Guinea don't have any loved ones or connection as much as a domestic doctor would to that region. So when I tell them, well, you got to follow the rules. Well, that guy can't, we don't have enough oxygen for her. So you're going to have to go in there and tell her family that after 13 days, we can't give her any more oxygen. By the way, that really happened in my family with one of my, an elderly family member of mine. She had COPD and she was on oxygen. That's the only thing she needed was oxygen. The hospital basically came in and told our family, well, your insurance, for the amount of oxygen that she needs, it's not going to cover the hospital. And if we put her in a private home, a private facility, that amount of insurance, it was like, I think $100,000 a month. And so those kind of rules, get what I'm saying, would be easier for someone who is foreign to the region and not domestic, because they don't have that connection with those people. Just like we're talking about the police, we're going to have soon international citizens, if not robots, as police officers. You don't like the police now? Trust me, it will get worse. But I digress. So that's his issue. You're going to see that. So this is a video I did about the superhighway and the assassinations. So why did I talk about assassinations? During this time, there were several assassinations going on with different judges and people who wouldn't go along with the agenda and sign the right papers to get certain things taken care of, bridges and highways and certain things like that. They wouldn't go along with it. And so they were assassinated. I'm not going to, you can go to this channel, subscribe and watch this video. There's a lot of text. There's a lot of text in it, like a lot of writing. Because back then I was following the Hebrew Israelites and they said women weren't allowed to teach. So I had to pretend that I just had to go under, this account and not speak. So here's one. Here's another one. When I told you about the culling, here's one right here. It's called the culling U.S. Healthcare Elam Death Docs. I call it the Elam, which is what we would call the Indians back with the East when I was doing the Hebrew Israelite, following that One West breakdown. But it's just talking about Eastern Indian doctors. So let me just read the intro. This quote is from a compilation titled The Collected Works of Mahatma Gandhi. This one was before December 19, 1894. A general belief seems to prevail in the colony that the Indians are a little better, if at all, than the savages of the natives of Africa. Even the children are taught to believe in that manner, with the result that the Indians is being dragged down to the position of a raw kafir. So this is something I just showed that, they're always talking about Gandhi, so peaceful. Martin Luther King was quoting Gandhi, and Gandhi was calling Africans savages. But this is about the culling, the doctors. Here they are. See, I call them the doctors, deaf doctors. I want you to listen to this right here.
Act or Obamacare. Ezekiel Emanuel was one of the architects of the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare. He presumes to be interested in preserving life, which is why it seemed outrageous when Sarah Palin accused him of wanting to create death panels. That was him. He was the death panel guy. But it turns out Palin might have been more right about Ezekiel's intentions than the country gave her credit for. Because Dr. Emanuel just penned an article in The Atlantic entitled, Why I Hope to Die at 75, with the subtitle, An Argument That Society and Families and You Will Be Better Off If Nature Takes Its Course Swiftly and Promptly. In it, Emanuel clearly outlines why he thinks everyone should have the decency to die before turning 76. He accuses Americans of being obsessed with trying to cheat death. He chastises people for exercising, for doing mental puzzles, for sticking to healthful diets, for taking supplements, as if those actions are actually evil. He says all of the...
So she's talking about an actual executive, like in the government, who was criticizing people trying to live longer. Now, if you look at this a little bit more, it says the GOP Republican healthcare package. Now, this is when he first became president at 45. Has made no changes to the details of Obamacare. Of course, Obamacare is not, Donald Trump and Obamacare and Obama are not enemies, because we're talking about the regime that sets them forward. The details of Obamacare, aka Affordable Care Act, that's what Donald Trump decided to call it, or I think that's what they changed it to, whatever. Regarding the details of the death panels, there are really death panels in these write-ups. Mandatory euthanasia and the death row camp. Oh, yeah, I forgot to say that. The death row camp, where they're going to start using guillotines, and this is how they're going to work it out. That's something else you want to look out for. They're going to say that the lethal injection and the electric chair is already on its way out, that they are brutal and inhumane. So, swift just beheadings would be the best way. But also, guess what happens? Why is that, family? Because if you don't do a lethal injection, you don't damage the organs that are valuable. If you don't roast the insides of the organs with electricity in the electric chair, you get to use that tissue. You get to use that tissue for a lot of things. Okay? So that's why you can look out for beheadings in I'm going to say, if not his administration, definitely It's within the next 10 years. Beheadings are going to be coming back. And so this is all written in the executive orders. So this video is fresh. It goes into it. I went into extensive research on this. Just all of this. I am not looking in the chat yet, but I'm just showing you. This is a clip that I did where this is an actual conference. I want you to listen to it. And they're interviewing one of these executives. I think it's a government official.
We'll start with Mr. Chaikin.
Anton Chaikin. I'm a historian and the history editor for Executive Intelligence Review. President Obama has put in place a reform apparatus reviving the euthanasia of Hitler Germany in 1939 that began the genocide there.
Okay, did you hear what he said? Let me check the chat because I need to see if you heard that. Did you hear what he said? Thank you. Did you hear what he said about it? It's similar to Germany, Hitler, Nazi Germany, because we're already in the Fifth Reich. We were entering into the Fifth Reich with the Obama administration, and now we're full-fledged in the Fifth Reich. When it came to the CVID and the 5, everybody's making fun and saying, "Oh, you think the 5G? Oh, the 5G means the Fifth Reich." Reich just means it means kingdom and empire, but it also means like righteous kingdom, like the kingdom come and the prayers. These people are like using the Bible too. They've been using the Bible, even though they act like they don't want the Bible, like, you know, with communism and socialism. It's like a playbook that they use. And that goes into like a lot of stuff. I can talk about like vibration and energy and consciousness, but I don't want to do that. I will say this though. This regime is so advanced. They know that people and in their personalities and emotions and in their thoughts send out a type of algorithm into what we say, into the ether, into the consciousness. The energy, it's scientific, it's quantum physics. Okay? You when you are sending a specific energy out, that energy is real. People say, "Oh, God isn't real." It's not about God. It's talking about a type of thought or actions, the things that are happening, behaviors. These these maniacal masterminds, this regime, they play off of that as well. So they know, okay, people sending out this vibration of like God, the Bible, the end times. They can count on people who are super radical. It's like a vicious cycle. You know, the people who are the ones pushing the radical religion are affecting the society's vibration, the society's thoughts, the society's behavior. And then it goes back to, circles back around to the people who are manipulating. This is the regime. They're looking at the book. They're looking at the Bible. They're manipulating different things, setting it up like, okay, we're going to get Donald Trump. He's going to be shot in the ear, the wound that healed. And then people are going to say he's the Antichrist. And then we're going to feed the radical religious people who are saying the end time is coming. And so then when they feed that, the energy is going to be sent out. So I didn't want to go too deep into that because that's something that's hard for a lot of people to get. And I'm not, I don't have the time for that right now. But so these people, when I say 5G and Fifth Reich, empire, kingdom come, it's all the same. The G isn't exactly like G for good. It's like if you think of Gimel in Gematria. If you look, think of the meaning of the word, of the actual letter, the name of the letter in Hebrew is Gimel, right? And I think Gimel means the one that bears. It's like the birthing of the one that holds the burden, but it also it's holding the burden. It's like the mother who's in about to have a baby, who's in labor. So the labor is like the Gimel, but the good is coming. I want to say that again. Like the G means this is the Fifth Reich, but it's esoteric. It's like the Gimel saying the good is coming. Just hold on a little longer to those who are informed. So the 5G means we're still in the labor. We're not in the kingdom yet. So I know y'all are like, what the hell? But anyway, it's the Fifth Reich. So let's listen more to this historian. That's who it is. He's a well-informed historian. He's breaking down the information. He's giving us the actual history or the background on this particular healthcare that is still in place. It's still in place, and it was set up as an alley-oop for the Trump administration. You notice right after the Obama administration did what they're supposed to do, which they were supposed to bring in what? Everybody knows what they. I'm going to see if you know. What do you think? I'm glad. Well, you guys are the darkest minds of light here, so you get it. So I just hope everyone listening will be able to do their research. Let me ask you, what was the big so-called accomplishment of the Obama administration when Obama was in his second? I'm going to say his second term, especially. What was his big accomplishment for society? Anybody? Who knows? I'm going to wait to see if anybody. I love it. Let me read this, Caleb. You're right. Gimel is derived from Gemal, which means the giving of the reward as well as the giving of the punishment. Assuming this is the word you were exactly like you're waiting as you wait. You see how it says giving of the reward as well as the punishment. When a woman is about to have a baby, that's like supposed to be some of the worst pain ever. But the reward is so fulfilling. It's like, just bear it, hold it, bear it. You're going to be given, or it's going to come forth. So that's what the G really stands for. Thank you, Terry. Yes, James, his first term was healthcare, which was set up for, we thought it was healthcare, but look what it is. It was really for the culling and these death panels. And you're right, Terry, for gay marriage. So see how it all was set up for the next, whoever's coming after? And what happens? The one who comes after, by the way, you talk about Hegelian dialectic. When you create chaos so you can fix it. He comes in, he's like, okay, healthcare, these doctors, but he's really setting it up for these, for executive orders to be put in place when the CVID came. Remember, you can't go outside. You have to have this VAXX if you want to ever work or buy or do anything. So he comes in and he's this feel good, cool looking, handsome, sharp, fun, awesome president. He was my favorite president. I'm gonna just say that, but I already know it's not him. It's the way things are set up for his administration. He just comes in and plays the part. So he comes in, he does the healthcare. Good point, James. I wasn't even going to touch on that, but we're talking about that right now in this video where we see it was set up for the culling, for the thinning out of the herd, for the useless feeders. Get it? He comes in and then he does this thing about the whole, the marriage, like equal rights for all. But it wasn't just that simple, like, oh, equal rights for all. It brought in extreme chaos. And the point for the healthcare and for the marriage thing, It wasn't even about marriage, for the equal rights for everybody, and no labels and trans, and it's so you could start destroying the population and cause confusion. That's one point. You know, we have children being victimized, when it says like, let children make their choices when they're not even ready. We have so many people who are their lives have been ruined because they want to retransition. They want to go back, and they've cut their bodies up and mutilated their bodies. So that was pure chaos. So here comes this next administration, which is Trump. And now Trump is going to, when his first term and the 45th president, he's like, I'm going to fix healthcare. I'm going to make things where, it's just, how do you say it? The family unit. We're not gonna, he didn't so much focus on the LGBTQ like he's doing now. He's really focusing on them, but it's like bringing order out of chaos, but it's chaos that they created anyway, the regime. So it's all still the Fifth Reich. So then we went into the CVID. We had him in the CVID acting like he's the hero. And but what we weren't looking at before the CVID, he was putting all these bans on travel. Let me get through this and I'm gonna show you. You guys remember? Exactly, James, he does. Beyond the CIA. But yeah. Remember when we couldn't fly? When there was like, when he first became president, he gets right off the bat working. He doesn't mess around, meaning his administration. They make moves because they got to hurry up. They got to get this done. So let me let you hear this, and then I'm going to remind you of when he has his presidency is tied to the air travel. And I'll go into that a little bit more. But you remember when he wanted to own an airline? And this was before there was even an FAA. This was before there was a federal administration of aviation, or whatever it stands for. Before air travel was regulated by the government. It's crazy. This stuff is crazy. But let me play this.
The apparatus here is to deny medical care to elderly, chronically ill, and poor people, and thus save, as the president says, $2 to $3 trillion by taking lives considered not worthy to be lived, as the Nazi doctors said. Dr. Israel Emanuel and other avowed cost cutters on this panel also lead a Prenda movement for euthanasia headquartered at the Hastings Center, of which Dr. Emanuel is a fellow. They shape public opinion and the medical profession to accept a death culture, such as the Washington state law passed in November to let physicians help kill patients whose medical care is now rapidly being withdrawn in the universal health disaster.
This is real. This isn't a joke. This isn't AI. If you go and take the time to read the actual documents, okay, go over all the executive orders, they're still in place. This man isn't making this up, but this is what's going on. And I know an elderly person who recently went to go get a diagnostic done. And I'm talking about since Donald Trump has been president. When this elderly person, which it is actually an older gentleman who I assist, this elderly person couldn't even get the diagnostic done because they were asking for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Even though this elderly person isn't just on Medicare, not Medicaid, Medicare, retired, 96-year-old man. This man is a veteran, and he he owned his own business. He has I forget the healthcare, but my point is his insurance normally covers that. But when he went to go get the diagnostic done this time, they asked him for hundreds and hundreds of dollars. That's because of the changes, the swift changes that have been made. And we hear about this man who was assassinated, this guy who was assassinated, that was the CEO of United Healthcare. I'm going to put my money on it that he was one of the people working against it, working against certain things that were going to be done and changed. And that's why he was taken out. So everybody cheering and happy, shame on them. Because I'm sure anybody who's not alive anymore and who had power, they were working against making these type of changes that would put great burden on the society and on our elderly and on our infirmed population.
Dr. Emanuel's movement for bioethics and euthanasia, and this council's purpose.
And if you don't know, euthanasia means mercy killing, like giving people the right to unalive if they are, it's not really like, it's not SUICIDE because sometimes it's assisted by other people, like by healthcare. Euthanasia, I believe, is legal in Oregon. It's going to be legal, write it down. It's going to be legal across the United States soon.
Directly continue the eugenics movement killing of patients and then other costly and supposedly unworthy people. Dr. Emanuel wrote last October 12th that a crisis, war, and financial collapse would get the frightened public to accept the program. A crisis, war, and financial collapse would get the frightened public to accept the program. Crisis, war, and financial collapse would get the frightened.
This was before the this meeting and this man stating this, talking about the orders, the executive orders about healthcare. This was years before the CVID. Years before the CVID. People laughed. They said, "Oh, right." And then the CVID happened. The crisis would get the people to accept it.
Frightened public to accept the program. Hitler told Dr. Brandt in 1935 that the euthanasia program would have to wait until the war began to get the public to go along. Dr. Emanuel wrote last year that the Hippocratic Oath should be junked. Doctors should no longer just serve the needs of the patient.
Remember I told you about how he was encouraging the importing of doctors. And listen, there are many wonderful doctors who are from other countries. That is not my point. My point is that it was encouraged to bring in foreign doctors, but people have beautiful hearts. Humanity is phenomenal. However, logically, if you brought doctors from other countries who also didn't have the same rights as American as U.S. citizens, they didn't grow up being so-called spoiled like us. When you bring them over, because the Trump administration was encouraging that, they were giving different types of incentives to these doctors, and they bring them over and have them follow these rules. And like he said, like somebody suggested to just junk the Hippocratic Oath. So do you think the doctors of the Third Reich in Nazi Germany were sticking to the Hippocratic Oath? You get what I'm saying? So I'm not saying that all Asian, like these particular beautiful people in those countries are all like evil, but Donald Trump, his administration was encouraging the importation of tech and healthcare providers, especially doctors, from specifically India and Pakistan to come over to the United States. And Obama was as well. And there was a reason, because they thought, well, they won't be so connected to these people. It'll be easier for them to execute these particular directives or these orders. However, American doctors do it too. I'm not saying that it's only foreign doctors, but I think you get what my point is. That was their plan, and it still is. the regime.
And binding the German eugenicists.
I mean, look at all the xenophobia anyway. So xenophobia goes both ways. When you have someone who is being the victim of the attacks, if you're a foreigner in a specific land and you're being discriminated against or attacked, that doesn't just erase the fact that you also, as a foreigner, have certain prejudices against the people of that land. You want to get along, but that doesn't mean that it erases your prejudices. I think I made my point, because this is a very touchy subject, so I don't want people to walk away saying, "Oh, she's saying that all these Asian doctors came over here and to just, KILL patients." Not at all. I'm saying the agenda of the regime was to bring foreign doctors in so it'd be easier for them to follow the rules, which are these rules that this man is talking about.
Exactly said the same thing to start the killing. You on the council are drawing up the procedures list to be used to deny care, which will kill millions if it goes ahead in the present world crash.
Now, this is a article that I found in a publication called The Hindu. If you see, this was 2013. This article, Doctors of India Origin, Almost a Brand in the United States. See, I'm not making this up. I had done all kinds of research. That doesn't, I got to stop in this right here, because I don't want this to be like, oh, she's focusing on these Indian doctors. There's a bunch of beautiful Indian doctors. I'm focusing on the doctors that this regime with the Trump administration, that they focused on. There's always going to be some good on the surface. They basically use good to twist it and use it against the people. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to get out of this. Oh, here, let me get this right here. I want you to hear what he's saying. Now, this is a guy who always talks about America. We don't want foreigners. Get these foreigners, these illegal people, or these foreigners out of our land. Now, listen to him when he's addressing the Indian population.
Abi Kibar, Trump, Sarkar.
We love the Hindus. We love the Hindus. We love India. We love India.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
Now, that was before Kamala. This was when he was first running for president, for the 45th president. He even said it in Hindi, I think that is. Trump loves the Indians. He was campaigning so hard for them, like to get their vote. But this way around, he was like, I'm not even going to talk to them, because Kamala Harris, I guess. Basically, this is back when he needed to bring in these doctors. I don't know if you even noticed it. Let me look at the chat. Do you remember? I don't know. Some of the foreign doctors are almost, in a way, mercenaries. Ding. You're right. Don't you remember? Everyone thinks the pod's crazy, but I love when she exposes the truth. Thank you. Everybody thinks I'm crazy. Okay, I think you were giving me a compliment. Thank you, James. Hey, Latoya. I know. Latoya, I saw your Facebook. You're looking good. I love the way you look. You're so pretty. I was like, oh my gosh. I was looking at all your pretty pictures. I didn't send a friend request, but I'm going to. That's what I'm telling you. But because I was like looking, and I think I got a phone call. But I love your pictures. I saw them. But yes, it is crazy. And I want to say this to you and everybody. You guys remember when before Barack Obama, what was that? Like 2000-ish, when the doctors were mostly American doctors. Now, again, I am so happy that we have doctors in the United States who want to help people and who are loving and who are healthcare providers and who are excellent. I don't care if you're from China, you could be from Russia, you can be from Ghana. I love you if you're here and you want to help people live. And I've met the doctor who, my mother's a breast cancer survivor. That doctor was an Eastern, I think she's a Pakistani woman, one of the best doctors I've ever seen. So my point is, I'm not talking about the race or culture. I'm talking about the agenda of the regime to bring in certain doctors so they would be less attached in their minds. These people, the maniacal sick people, they're like, they won't be so close. And there is some truth to that, to the American population as they would to their own people, and then they'll work accordingly. Remember before, like around 2000 or between 1999 and maybe 2004, it was, I mean, before 2004, it was like all American doctors. I'm not saying this was great, but I'm not saying it was bad, but it was, if you thought of a doctor, you would see a white male. It was mostly white males, and then there would be like black females and white females. But so the most doctors were like white males first, and then they were black female doctors and white female doctors. And then you'd see some like Latinos and some, of course, Asians. But does anyone, not anymore, right? Now it's all, they're all Eastern Asian or, you know, Asian doctors. Not all, I'm gonna throw it out there and say maybe 70%. Maybe I'll say 60, and then like 15% African. So what's that, 75? And then 25% American. I'm serious. That's what I see. Okay, now again, this is my opinion. All right, but there's a reason. They were given great incentive. So I want to leave this particular one alone. And I want to show you another video. When I was talking to you about the travel, remember I said the travel? The travel, here it is right here. Oh, I also mentioned the Elon Musk thing, Neuralace. This is before Elon Musk even got his hands on Neuralace. This video I did 7 years ago. Let me show you. I think I did my FBI warning where I said, okay, let me go back here. So, okay, fair use, right? All right. So I talked about mad scientists, how they want to do AI, go forward.
The mind file.
Mind files.
She used to be a man.
Okay, talked about that. Sandra, okay. Okay, this is Sophia, the AI. We already have, now we have these in the home.
Humans make dark jokes all the time.
Yeah, but humans are a little bit afraid of robots, you know?
Why? Why would people fear me?
People always try to project their own darkness onto others. They fear change.
And he is German, I believe. Not that that matters, but I'm just saying, like, they use a lot of different foreign scientists. Here's Elon Musk talking about,
with artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon. You know all those stories where there's the guy with the pentagram and the holy water, and he's like, yeah, you sure you can control the demon? Doesn't work out.
So, going back to the AI situation, this is quite an important debate. Like if you assume any rate of advancement in AI, we will be left behind by a lot, and so then we could be in, like, benign situation. But even the benign situation, if you have some, if you have ultra intelligent AI, we would be, so far below them in intelligence that it would be like, a pet, basically.
Okay, so basically, like I said, 7 years ago, I was showing people that Elon Musk is going to be having AI robots and telling us that we need to do the Neuralace implant so we can use our brains to move stuff. This is over 7 years ago. Now we do have Elon, and I'm not saying, look, guess what? I'm not even mad at Elon Musk. I'm not. This is what people should be. If I could see it, come on, anyone can see it if you look close enough. So sure enough, here he is now, and he's saying that we're going to have these robots in our homes, that they can take care of our babies. We've already got the brain implants going for handicapped victims, which I think that's a great thing. If only that could only be the only reason. It's not, though. So people who are paralyzed have a chance to move their limbs again because of this technology. Remember, Donald Trump was pushing for foreign tech scientists and technologists and all these people to come over and do all this work. Sidebar, Elon Musk is not American, but the reason I'm saying this is because Donald Trump is always like, America, America. He's not even about America, not even him personally. His regime is pushed to, the regime pushes him, his administration, to use the most, the strongest, and I mean brawn, I'm going to say it again. I mean, those who have the most power physically to subdue people, they pander to that group. The administration does, like the Proud Boys, the KKK, the Nazis, the neo-Nazis. These are the people who are about that life. Sorry, but Black people, you're just about most of the time killing each other. How much money you have, who can bust it as wide open as they can and take your man, who's going to get killed by another black people. That's what we're doing. And I'm not just talking about on the streets, even in these Black consciousness communities where we say, oh, we're Black power, we hate each other. You will see Black people attacking Black people, trying to tear down the actual godfather of Black consciousness, who brings all the people, who was working with Khalid Muhammad, a revolutionary. You see every person who calls himself intelligent and Black trying to tear down that person. They try to tear down Sonetter. So we're not about that life. We're not. Don't be scared of us. But the people who stormed that Capitol, I want to let it sink again. The people who stormed the capital of the United States of America, and were tearing shit down. It wasn't a Target. It wasn't a weave store. It was a capital of the United States. Okay? That's who the administration panders to, because they will get it popping, and they use their guns. Don't think that they have more guns than Blacks. Oh, they have, it's equal amount of guns. But the Blacks who have the guns, they like to kill each other, and that's fine with the Proud Boys and the neo-Nazis, because they know they're bringing in the Fifth Reich. They know that we're in the Fifth Reich. People, you have the new Black Panther Party, but we have all this infighting, Negroes and the slave programs working on us just perfectly. So what's my point? I just want to just drop some coconuts on the heads of Black people over here talking about, you voted for Trump. You're not ready. You're not ready. Because the same person will sit in a chat of a Black person talking about Sonetter, tearing me down, saying, oh, the HOK and their whores and their pet. They tear down their own, anybody who's trying to help. And you love the Black people who sit in and tell you bullshit like, oh, we're going to bring back the vibration of the crystals in the universe. And I love all that stuff. But you love to hear Billy Carson and all these other people who, I don't even call them pseudos. They're not talking about what is really going on. There are a few of them. like Rod Hayes, he goes into like, hey, this shit that we're in is a matrix, and you better. We're not. No one's afraid of us. No one's afraid of us. But Donald Trump's administration panders to those who can go and hold a bunch of people hostage in the United States Capitol. And that's why he won't come out and say, I'm all for Israel. I'm all for waiting for that red heifer. I'm all for Israel ruling. I'm all for China being right here on American soil. We can give China part of this country as long as we can get this and this amount of money. I'm all for Indian and Pakistani doctors and Chinese doctors and African doctors coming over here and following these executive orders for the culling of the herd. I'm all for that. But I'll just tell the ones who have the brawn and who will get it popping, the ones who stormed the Capitol, I'll just tell them, oh yeah, no, I don't like foreigners. I don't have to pander to the other groups of people. Donald Trump doesn't have to pander to the Indians anymore. Eastern Indians. He doesn't have to pander to the Native Americans. He doesn't have to pander to the African Americans, the progeny of the slave trade. He panders to those who have proven that they will crack some skulls. And what did he do? It wasn't just a podunk get together with rifles and burn some crosses and overalls. Let's talk about it. Where's my spittoon? No, it was surgically, intricate in detail, put together, because they told them, then when I become 47th president, I will pardon all of you. Let's get this going. We're going to make sure that, when they want to put me in jail, even if they do, don't worry, I'll still be president. Don't worry. I'll still be president. Who has seen that series Prison Break? They always tell you in actual Hollywood, which is the church, now I'm getting a little deeper. I'm not looking at the chat because I'm just flowing, but see, they tell you don't get it wrong. It is a religion. It is a church. When we go back to when we go back to Nazi Germany, they were very religious. We had things called, look this up, the Thule Society, Thule. You got to do your own research. They had different archaeologists, so-called adventurers, different archaeologists going to India and looking for not just India, all over the world, but especially in India, looking for the secrets to the everlasting life. And they have it's a device called Diglaka, the bell for time travel. It's all in place. Hadron colliders, everything like that. Time machines are real. You're not crazy when you have the Mandela effect. It's all working, and it all most recently stems from Nazi Germany. So they do have a belief in a God. And their God is beyond the way the religious, the Christian church is so imbalanced. They understand energy and spirit and collective consciousness and ethereal realms, because they move through all of these different planes and do all these wonderful, amazing, phenomenal things that we call, some people say pseudo, some people say magic. I'm kind of going off track, but even so back then, here's I'm showing this guy, he's already telling, and they're working together doing Neuralace. Here's Neuralace. And who's working with Elon Musk now? Donald Trump. Okay, that was before he even got together with him. So then I did another video. So I did the culling of the herd, U.S. care, the revelations. I called it the mark of the beast. Back then I was working on a radical Bible stance, but still the information was quality. This one right here is Trump and about travel. Now this one is Trump the superhighway. This is what I was talking about, travel. Okay, so this one was the one I was talking about, how I told you back then. This was also 7 years ago, I think. This was 7 years ago. So this was when it only had 46 views. See, people aren't trying to hear this, but I bet you want to hear it now, right? So this is where I talk about Trump putting travel bans, and why, and all the assassinations that took place because of they're working on the change for the infrastructure. You're going to hear him doing a speech about NAFTA and how he has to change NAFTA and how he's going to do this and that with China. This is 7 years ago.
The Hawaii federal judge who halted President Donald Trump's revised travel and refugee ban.
What did he halt? Donald Trump's revised his ban on travel. Are y'all hearing this? I need you to really listen, please. I know this may be boring, but listen. Think of what happened with the CEO guy of United Healthcare. This is a judge. He didn't let Donald Trump. Well, let me let you hear it again.
The Hawaii federal judge who halted President Donald Trump's revised travel and refugee ban has been receiving threats. He is reportedly set to receive 24/7 protection. U.S. District Judge Derek Watson began receiving threats after he stunted Trump's effort to restrict access to the U.S. for the second time. His ruling also began a campaign of people saying they would boycott Hawaii. The U.S. Marshal Services has since sent around a dozen deputies to provide Watson with continuous protection.
A Trump administration.
You heard that? Oh, you're going to see some judges who didn't get protected enough. Just keep listening. Listen to what he says before he was elected the first time about the North American Fair Trade Agreement, which it was called NAFTA. He was saying he's going to change it so they could confuse us. I think it's back called NAFTA again. But the North American Fair Trade Agreement, that's between Canada, United States, and Mexico. But that's all. It's all one entity now.
Will change our failed trade policies, and I mean quickly. Thank you. Here are 7 steps I would pursue right away to bring back our jobs. Number 1, I am going to withdraw the United States from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which has not yet been ratified.
Stop. Did you just hear that? Now, this was back 7 years ago before he was even elected. He said he's going to withdraw the United States from the Trans-Pacific partnership. That has to do with China. Let me read this. Even though he has withdrawn from the TPP, he has no need for it any longer, y'all. This is 7 years ago. Oh, my God. Because China is ready to do trade via a bilateral U.S.-China NAFTA agreement. Oh, my God, I'm getting goosebumps. I used to be on this, y'all. I let it go for a minute. The Trans-Pacific plan or agreement basically is between the United States and China. He was telling us, oh, I'm going to do this and this, and everybody's clapping because he was already knowing China's going to be over here in Mexico. China's not in China anymore. It's going to be in Mexico. We got it made in the shade. Okay. Since his lavish Mar-a-Lago resort meeting with Xi Jinping, China is on board. That was his quote. Trump did so in order to corner the trade market with China through NAFTA via the Mexican borders and the NAFTA superhighway. Keep watching. You'll see this is going to happen. going to see. You're going to see this. It was set up. They did the CVID, had to get the CVID going. Then came in all this chaos with Sleepy Joe, done slept through 4 years and let people really get hungry, get to the point where people were begging for anyone. Give us Barabbas, for God's sake. Remember that in the Bible? They're like, who you want? Jesus? They're like, damn, I don't care. We take Barabbas. Just don't give us Jesus. This is what was going on with Kamala Harris. They're like, this is all we have to choose from? And I'm not trying to diss Kamala, but come on. Her walking around talking about she washed greens in her bathtub. Come on. They gave us no other choice. But I still voted for her because I needed to have it on record so I could sleep at night when bodies start to drop, literally. But I already knew. I didn't even have to vote. That was for me personally, so I could show my children and say, but guys, I wasn't a part of this. Because they can't get, I mean, all this deep stuff about, hidden shadow governments and the octopus within and the deep state and the regime, so I digress. Right here. Keep listening.
I'm going to appoint the toughest and smartest, and I know them all, trade negotiators to fight on behalf of American workers.
You hear him always pandering to that powerful group of resistance. The group of resistance is no longer the Black American. The Black American has been turned into a docile, purring kitty cat. No, it's no longer Sekhmet or the fierce lion of Judah. It is a little purring. We're not. They don't worry about us. They need to pander to and incite the spirit of resistance in the neo-Nazi, the Proud Boy, the KKK, that part of the United States population and society, which really, to be honest, I know you don't want to hear that. Those are our brothers and sisters. Yes, we have a history of them doing the atrocities to us, but they also have a history of being downtrodden by this regime. They benefited from us being downtrodden. If we go and look at slavery, I'm not saying love the oppressor, so don't get triggered. Okay, I always stand up and say that the transatlantic slave trade was the worst atrocity in all history of mankind done to a group of people. So, however, the people that you see who are the Proud Boys and the KKK, the ones that are going and storming the Capitol, they come from poverty, generational poverty. Even if we go back to the Civil War, they were the ones that were put on the front line while the generals and all the protected ones, the families, the rich families, sat back and just reap the benefits. My point is, these are Americans who are stupid and think because they're white that Trump is on their side. And Trump looks at them the same as he looks at blacks, and the same as he looks at the Haitians that are being deported, the same as he looks at the Mexicans that he's deporting. Okay? We recently have Mexicans for Donald Trump. We have Puerto Ricans who there have been more than once Donald Trump said their country is a garbage can and just garbage. We have people from those countries saying Latinos for Trump because they think he cares about them just because he says so, or maybe he dances a salsa move. Trump is not, he doesn't care if you're black, white. I'm talking about the administration. They don't care if you're Latino. If you fit in the agenda and you're one of those protected elite families, then that's what he cares about it, and really doesn't care about that. They just happen to be one of him. Kind of like roaches. Roaches don't care about other roaches, but they don't really necessarily try to exterminate other roaches, because they know, well, we're roaches. You're part of the roaches. That doesn't mean they love each other. So, anyway, let's keep listening to him. This is 7 years ago.
I'm going to direct the Secretary of Commerce to identify every violation of trade agreements a foreign country is currently using to harm you, the American worker.
But what he doesn't say is, I'm trying to get China on U.S. soil. So you get what I'm saying about how the ramifications and the gravity of that? China is already Mexico. China is already pretty much, I think, Nigeria. I mean, should I say Nigeria is already China? Mexico is already China. Just because it's not over the Pacific Ocean doesn't mean that it's not the country. Y'all like, what? Get it? This is their MO. This is since the time of colonization. The Queen sits on the throne in England, I say the island of Europe, but it's not even an island, a continent. I get it, but it's like they sit over there in the continent of Europe, and across the pond, so to speak. That's why I said island. I get it, it's continent, but it's not a pond, it's the ocean. But across the pond, as they say it, the United States was still England, and it still is. I don't have enough time to go into that. It's still basically the United Kingdom. And the United Kingdom is basically Rome. Don't play with me, because I don't have time to break that down. It's too deep. I need to find time. And even when I do the video, it's going to just sound like, oh, what's she talking about? However, Mexico is China. If we're talking about the finance, the commercial part of it. You get it?
I will then direct all appropriate agencies to use every tool under American and international law to end these abuses. And abuse is the right.
In my commentary because I wasn't allowed to, like I'm doing now, when I was following the Hebrew Israelite orders of women, I could not speak. So I just had to be ambiguous, and they just assumed I was a man. But I digress. So my commentary was, he is not mentioning how he will use and is already using his organized crime connections. Trump, as most know, is tied to the mafia, allegedly. Jewish as well as Italian, allegedly. But the Jewish is the most powerful. The Jewish mafia, allegedly. YouTube. He is literally taking orders from the Jewish mafia, allegedly, on which people to assassinate whenever their New World Order agenda is threatened. I'm changing my language a lot now because this New World Order, scratch that out. Just say the regime agenda, because it's very shadow, So this goes for judges and whistleblowers. So this video shows that there were judges and whistleblowers actually executed, aka assassinated, when they didn't go along with the agenda.
Right word. And a better deal by a lot, not just a little, by a lot for our workers. And if they don't agree to a renegotiation, which they might not, because they're so used to having their own way. Not with Trump. They won't have their own way. Then I will submit under Article 2205 of the NAFTA agreement that America intends to withdraw from the deal.
You see how he plays with the minds of the public? withdraw from the deal with China across the Pacific in the TPP because China's going to be over in North America, which they are now. So let me just get through this. You can go watch this video. I just want to get through this to get to the part. Oh, okay. Let me read this. This is important. So for those who don't know, there is a super highway, and we're talking about, don't worry about the NOO, New Orleans. It's just an infrastructure that is clandestine. It's like the underbelly, the underworld of what we know. So Trump has already begun to work on the infrastructure of America. It's that hidden infrastructure. Remember I said the hidden highways? He has put into motion the completion of a superhighway that will stretch from the southernmost regions of the U.S., which not only includes Southwest U.S. and Mexico borders. So I should have said the southernmost regions of Mexico, or well, like central Mexico. And I think it goes all the way to the Gulf of Mexico or something like that. But basically, this highway goes from Mexico through the United States up to Canada. Okay. And it wraps around back, of course, in, the United States through Alaska, and it goes. So there's already this highway that we don't know about really, but it's there, so to speak. It's not like an invisible highway. I just want to make that clear. We don't understand that it is basically a super highway for trade on the continent of North America. But some of us do. So it says it will stretch to the southernmost regions of the U.S., which not only includes Southwest U.S. and Mexico borders. No, it goes down through Mexico, so this is wrong. But also includes Florida. Yes, also Florida. I forgot to say that. It goes into Florida. It doesn't go at the border. This transmodal highway will be the sole transportation system of the regime, the North American Union. That is what I said. Canada. The North American Union is Canada, United States, and Mexico. And it will be complete with checkpoints for travelers. The elites and the media are cleverly calling the checkpoints of the new highways tolls. But these checkpoints will be equipped with RFID readers and ultimately, well, we already know that. There's RFID anyway. Even the Easy Pass is one of those kind of things. But I'm not just talking about Easy Pass like in the tri-state area of like, over there. I'm talking about truckers know better what I'm talking about. If you have a truck driver friend who's been all over the United States or family member, they can get. That's why I said you need to make sure you have a connection with truckers, because you're going to need it. You're going to need it so you will be able to know how to get around when you need to, where not to go, where to go, how to get information from point A to point B, because we're not going to always have the internet. It's going to have to go back to where we don't have phones, we don't have internet. We're going to have to send actual parcels and letters and messages to each other through people. And the phenomenal part is that so many people got into trucking. Like there was a boom of trucking during from 2010-ish, well, actually I'd say 2012 to now. But it was so many people like, I want a truck, I want a truck, I want a truck. And it was just awesome because some of it was for obviously all of it was for businesses, because businesses need truckers. However, the side that I say is really spiritual is that your own family members and friends are becoming like these future saviors, like these future very important people that will make or break your existence. And that's truckers. Write it down, mark my word. truckers are going to be like a blessing on your life. If you know someone's a trucker, or if you're a trucker, you're going to be able to move and make or break the lives of people in the near future. Let me check the chat real quick. So the Queen been bringing out this information for years. Yeah, and I'm just hearing it. I know, right? Well, you got to go subscribe. Thank you so much, Caleb. Go subscribe to Phineas the Zealot. And yeah, maps. Exactly. Maps are going to come, paper maps. Remember we used to have maps in our glove compartments in the car? Yeah, so listen, let me just try to get to the part with the assassinations. Okay, here is also, if you see Pence was the vice president on the first time that Donald Trump was president. He is one of the executives and government officials who worked on the well, just watch. I'll show you.
We will cherish that. We will keep that. And we won't even tell the press what's in that letter.
The man you see standing behind Trump is the vice president-elect. I hope that my mic isn't muted. Oh, it isn't. Okay, I could have been just talking all this time. The man you see standing behind Trump is the vice president-elect Mike Pence. He is the former governor of Indiana, and during his office as Indiana governor, he was and still is a staunch and persistent advocate of the proposed highway expansion project called Ileana. Ileana is a highway expansion project between India and Illinois, which in essence is simply a huge toll road designed to facilitate intermodal cargo transport. Yet Ileana is touted as good for the consumer. Despite Pence and other proponents of Ileana attempting to get federal approval for the toll highway expansion, judges in Illinois continue to shoot the concept down and deny the two states the billions of dollars needed to fund the construction. This is infrastructure, family, that makes all in favor of the superhighways, such as the elites who need the beast system in place, very unhappy. This info is significant because it shows a link between the unalivements, the purposeful unalivements of these judges, and the NAFTA superhighway project. That's Trump's agenda to change the infrastructure to work for the commercial trade within the United States, the United States Union, the North American Union. He's working so China can be on the soil, and China and the three countries in the North American Union can work with China, moving commerce, import export, but it's not even import export anymore. Get it? Just it's now domestic trade, moving it throughout the continent, throughout the countries. And if anyone gets in the way of that superhighway, because Ileana was a part of the superhighway, then they are done. You see what happened with the guy in Hawaii at the beginning. He had to have serious security. Let's keep listening. Oh, yeah. Anyway, blocked by the judges, advocates, and then it says, so you're going to see some stories about, it's going to, right here, I'm going to go into, let me get right
Alabama's.
So you just go look at this if you want. It's a lot of reading.
Why no?
So you're going to see this right here. This is a commercial back then. This was probably 9 years ago for the Ileana. Look at what the ad says. Whosoever said all roads lead to Rome. They're showing you in plain sight. This is an ad for the Ileana the connection to the superhighway, where they bring all these roads together for trade. This is one of the actual commercials for it. I want you to watch it. So I put my commentary. This is a commercial put together by Illinois and Indiana Department of Transportation promoting one of the toll portions of NAFTA Superhighway Ileana. So this captions that you see, this is from the commercial, not me. The time is now. Introducing Ileana Corridor, partnering for progress. A roadway that connects the region to the largest intermodal transportation in North America, with over $65 billion in import and export annually. By truck, by plane, by ship, by rail. Ileana will move 46 million miles of truck traffic off local roads. So do you guys see what the hell is happening here? I'm getting goosebumps, y'all. This shit is wild as hell. This was 9 years ago. Please, do you see it? They're saying, this is so great. Where is the proof of that in China? Where's the proof of what? The China part? Go do your research. Brooke Bakwash, peace to you. Do your research on China. Just go Google China commerce in Mexico. And you'll see it right there. If you want me to do it, I mean, I can, but it's going to take me off track. That's just like learning the ABCs before you read. It's just the basics. All you got to do is go see what's going on with China and the Mexico economy. And then you can put your pieces together from there. And I don't know what the other thing, the proof of what. I'm showing you, this is actually an ad. This is an ad that says, hey, we can take these big trucks off the roads with the main traffic, and we'll just let them, if you let us build this intermodal extra corridor, we'll be able to just have these trucks and you won't have to worry about it. Oh yeah, I know. Thanks, Caleb. I'll do that. I did. I don't know what's going on with that, but okay, I'll see. I'll check on that for you. I think that I do have that. But anyway, so that's what's going on right there. I hope I answered your question. But let's keep looking at this actual commercial, and then you will hear a panel of people talking about what's going on in Indiana. This panel that you see it was such a boring broadcast that I watched for oh my God, it was like 2 hours of them just talking about the Ileana Superhighway. And I watched it and I just took some excerpts from it to let you hear what was going on in the works of this highway. And right now, I don't even think on the surface that it actually, the people accepted it, but it didn't matter. They still did it. It's still done. It's been done. Increased distribution for the top grain producing region of the world. So they're trying to make it this is for America. It wasn't. It wasn't for America. It was basically for a lot of reasons, but this particular super highway that is already built, it's for the trade between, which that's on the surface. They say it's for the trade between the three countries. However, how do I say it? It's to basically cut out trans-Pacific trade with China and bring China on the North American soil. Moving cargo through the region with unprecedented speed. The regional population will grow by 176% by 2040. That's not true. That's another lie, because they're culling. You remember the culling of the herd? Ileana will save more than $4 billion in travel time over 50 years. Remember what I said about Trump's administration and its focus on travel? All right, all roads lead to Ileana. Okay, fine. Gotcha. So let's look at this right here. I want to show you something. So remember, it's Chicago, it's Illinois, it's Ileana, right? So now let me read this to you. As you see, the state of Illinois and Indiana, the current Vice President Pence was a governor of Indiana who advocated the building of Ileana Highway. They're still working on getting the people and the federal judges to approve a super highway running through Illinois and Indiana. Now, remember, they have to get this approved by the federal judges. Now, when you look at this, you might say, well, put the pieces together. Running through Illinois and Indiana with tolls, RFID checkpoints, Indiana is on board, but it is the judges and the officials of Illinois who are in the way and rejecting Ileana toll highway. This is the key to why Judge Raymond Miles, I don't know if you remember this, a Cook County Circuit Court judge in Chicago. Now, just stop. Don't start with all, oh, you said the federal, this and just listen. The Cook County judge in Chicago was assassinated. Even if he was not a judge set to rule on Ileana Superhighway, when you do the research, he was unalive to send the message to other judges and officials. And the message is that Trump and his tough negotiators, as he puts it, will not be stopped from constructing the North American highway, superhighway, the North American superhighway. Now, you could see this always happening with Trump. You see what happened in Atlanta when the whistleblower found out about them, what they did. You see it happening with all of a sudden in his administration, these mysterious assassinations, and then they pin it on some lackey. Like, who just assassinates the CEO of United Healthcare in broad daylight in the middle of the day in a busy city, in New York City streets? Why did a commercial airplane crash into a Black Hawk helicopter in broad daylight? This shit is not, excuse my language, this isn't like, well, just, no, these things are happening, and they will continue to happen while you see Donald Trump's administration, in his administration. You'll see these things happen. If people don't do what he wants, and also to push things forward, they have to do the chaos and then they have to say, oh, we're going to bring the order. The thing that happened today, the first thing Trump said was, that shouldn't have happened. It was so clear. The day was clear. He wants to come out and start, mark my word, his administration is going to come out and start saying how we need more regulations and flights, and also they want to scare people. I hope that was the last crash, but I don't think so. They want to scare people from flying. They want us to stay on the ground. And so he did put a travel ban. I'm just saying, he did put a travel ban on people flying out of the country and getting on flights. And then, of course, with CVID, they did the travel bans with CVID. Don't forget, with 9/11, they did the travel bans. It's the same song. It's just different players, different musicians, different singers. So anyone who stands in the way of this is going to get unalived.
The case of an associate Cook County judge shot dead outside his Southside home. Cook County judge, Cook County judge.
So I kept repeating Cook County judge because what you're going to see, I'm showing you on the map. I went and got the map. Oh, Lord, I used to be doing this stuff. I'm laughing at myself. I don't have time to do this stuff anymore. But anyway, so I found the map where the corridor would be. And then I looked at the distance between Cook County and the location of the Ileana corridor. Look at this. Here's Cook County. And it's running right through, Cook County. It's running right through here. Kankakee? There's Cook County and there's the Ileana corridor. It's in close proximity. Chicagoans in the region of the county where Judge Raymond Miles presided protest the tollway. So Judge Raymond Miles was assassinated outside his home for no reason. There were no people. I did the research back then. He didn't have any convictions that would have, people would have killed him over. Sorry, unalived. Chicagoans did not want that corridor running through their, they protested it basically. So when they're doing the protest, they appeal to the judges and everyone. They say, we don't want this. We do not want this to be running through our area, our homes, our neighborhoods. Okay, so this is an Ileana Expressway damn, I kind of didn't get to see it myself. Okay. Well, there's an Ileana Tollway lawsuit in Chicago. Ileana Expressway gets red light from Preckwinkle Planning Group. Okay. So Thursday, this is an article that was in the news in I forget what this is, Chicago, I think. Well, anyway, Thursday updates, and this is over 7-8 years ago. Thursday update. Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle among those against going ahead with the proposed Ileana Expressway. The Cook County judge was the one assassinated, y'all. According to a copy of a letter I obtained, Miss Preckwinkle wrote the governor, Pat Quinn, last week to say she objects to the project of the Ileana corridor running through there. Check out the letter at the bottom of this post. This is a letter to the board. Well, it says Office of the President, Board of Commissioners of Cook County. August 27, 2013. This is 12 years ago, almost 12 years ago. The Honorable Patrick Quinn, Governor, James R. Thompson Center. The actual letter. Dear Governor Quinn, I am writing to voice. Now, this is someone from Cook County. A Cook County judge was assassinated. I am writing to voice my objection to adding the Ileana Expressway as a fiscally constrained major capital project in the Go to 2040 plan. I strongly believe the Illinois Department of Transportation's $1.25 billion proposed construction costs are low compared to the other recently built highways in Chicago and the U.S. Further, the Ileana proposal excludes the $1.5 billion cost of building 33 additional essential lane miles on Interstate 80 and 55 and does not quantify the required levels. It just goes on and on to say that that's why we own it. So I showed the letter. Let me just get through this. So I'm showing the letter that this is Cook County, and who's going to rule on the Ileana highway being the project getting a green light? The judges are. The judges are.
Dead outside his Southside home, didn't have a chance to go cold.
And while any act of violence in Chicago is one too many, this incident took from us a valuable partner in the fight to take violent offenders off the streets.
I feel whoever got him, they targeted him. I feel whoever got him, they targeted him. I feel whoever got him, they targeted him. I can't say it was a random thing.
Investigators agree. Tonight, they're still looking for other suspects they believed may have helped shoot and kill a Cook County judge.
Okay, you saw that, right? They targeted this judge who, in my opinion, I don't know for a fact, he had something to do with deciding whether or not this is going to take place, or they were sending a message to those who were supposed to do this. A judge gets assassinated. That's a huge deal. And they don't know why. I don't even think they've solved the murder yet.
Welcome to the NWO.
Now, these are the people who are discussing the Ileana highway, the connection to the superhighway. Now, keep in mind, this is kind of boring, but you have to listen to what they say about the sentiment of the people in Illinois and Indiana regarding this highway.
WI.com Political Roundtable for Sunday, December 8th. I'm Robert Blaskowitz, Assistant Managing Editor of the Times. Join with me, Doug Ross, Editorial Page Editor of the Times, and Times Assistant Managing Editor Chris Ivanovic. This is a special edition. We're going to be talking about specifically the Ileana Expressway and the vote coming up. If you look at today's, this will be posted on Sunday. So if you look at Sunday's edition of the Times, we have plenty of coverage.
And there will, as readers will read today, a lot of impassioned voices, new voices that we interviewed talking about they will lose their farms, they will lose their homes, or they will have a giant tollway 20 feet from their backyards. It's very, I think it's very hard for them to accept. And while I think we all support economic development, it is a gut-wrenching thing. I sense and believe that it will go forward for good or ill. That it's, a third airport is sure to follow no matter what anyone says. A third airport is sure to follow no matter what anyone says.
So I think,
Did you see that? Trump is working on, I put that on there.
I sense and believe that it will go forward for good or ill. That it's
A third airport is sure to follow. Trump has already been working on the control of air travel after his meeting with the airline execs earlier this year. I have another video on that. I'm going to move forward on this because there's so much stuff. This shows you this already from Mexico. The brother was asking me, how do I have proof on this? There's already there's already a superhighway that let me just show it, that they constructed years ago in Mexico and Texas and Florida. This is it. That's Laredo, Texas. Okay, so let me read this. This small South Texas border town is the beginning of a multimodal. This is in 2007, y'all. This is 18 years ago. It's already up and going just fine. This small Texas border town is the beginning of a multimodal superhighway due to begin construction in 2007. People were laughing at this when people were talking about this. They were saying these people who talked about this were crazy. Multimodal means that this highway will have separate truck lanes, parallel rail lines, and passenger car lanes. Now, there's nothing sinister about that. I'm just letting you know. But the reasoning and the underlying part of it is the sinister part. Okay? All that is stated in this video excerpt produced it's a decade ago has already been completed. So I put that on there. So this is the layout. These are the diagrams, the pictures, the illustrations of what they thought the future corridor would be like. The first phase of this project is a Trans-Texas corridor, which will be run from Laredo north to Oklahoma. The next phase will be the NASCO Superhighway, which will connect Mexico and Canada. Let me just run through this right now. This guy goes in. This is actual footage from 2007, where the guy who's doing this documentary, he was showing the construction of the highway.
Right behind me is the bridge that connects Mexico to the U.S. Connects the towns of Nuevo Laredo and Laredo.
See, when some people watch this, they're going to be like, so what? This is so dumb. It's not anything evil. Okay, I didn't even call it evil at all. I'm just letting you know that what's on the surface about, oh, we're so American and we don't want these foreigners in is all a lie. If the people who, these Proud Boys, knew that really Trump's goal or his administration's goal is to get, foreign companies on and factories in U.S. soil, on the soil in North America, and get them working to benefit the regime. If they knew that, they wouldn't support him anymore. And that is what he's working for. He's not working to make, oh, America this and that. He wants, you think that these Chinese companies that are going to be, that are right now over in Mexico, do you think that that's benefiting in the long run? Of course, it's benefiting Mexico's economy, but in the long run, as far as when we're talking about players in economy, world economy, who's going to be the boss in world economy if Mexico is basically has taken over? I mean, if China has taken over Mexico with their companies, is Mexico going to be the boss in the game, or in the as far as a world player in economy, or is China? It's going to be China. Same with the U.S. It's already been a while. We have been, we're not as great as we used to be, or as we think. That's the thing. Ironically, he's like, make America great again, but he's like trying to get China over here and, set them up. That's the negotiation. It's not like he wants to, but that's the negotiation. Okay, then as China, let us come in and be a part, put up our factories in North America. And yeah, your benefit is that you don't have to worry about, how do you say, God, let me look something up, because I keep on saying the word and I want to make sure I'm right, because I might be rusty. I think I said, I was saying tariffs. Oh, I used to know what this stuff meant. Oh, God, I'm going dumb. All right. Let me get that. Hold on. Definition of tariff. A tariff is a tax, yes, imposed by one country on the goods and services imported from another. Yes, tariff. I just want to make sure. God dang. They did solve the case for unaliving the Cook County judge. 2 people were arrested back in 2017. They were seemingly can't find the motive and still are missing more offenders. Thank you, Caleb. We know why. Just like this guy, this Luigi dude is supposed to be the one who unalived this executive guy. I don't think so. But that's allegedly. I'm the boss of all bosses. We nearing the 364th day. Okay. Anyway, so I have this video. You can finish off watching it. There's another judge that was on a live done this too. Oh, I want to show you what the Atlanta part, the Atlanta thing. And let me show you this too. Let me show you this.
Manitoba has been working with the Canadian government and state governments in the U.S. to protect and enhance our access to key trade markets. In response to U.S. border security measures, Manitoba will begin offering an enhanced driver's license as an affordable and secure form of identification for travelers. The new license will be available in the fall of 2008.
Let me see if any of you guys have heard of the Real ID. No, nobody? What did you see? I'm sure you did. I'm sure I said truckers are good people to know. They go everywhere. They see everything. But who's seen the Real ID stuff that they keep on pushing out? Like you're not going to be able to use your driver's license to fly anymore. And they keep saying, first they said by 2020, then they said by 2021, then they said by 2023, then they said by 2024, 25. That Real ID that you have to go get. Anybody heard of that? It's RFID. But there's already RFID in the passport anyway. So he's talking about just getting these IDs. I want to show you what the Atlanta part. Remember this?
Is in Atlanta, Georgia, was gunned down in broad daylight yesterday, just minutes after she filed legal requests at a federal courthouse for all U.S. and state of Georgia documents relating bombing of the I-85 bridge.
Stop. Did you not hear that? The bombing of the bridge in Atlanta. She was looking into it. She was looking into it. And she got unalived in broad daylight in the middle of a city, in the middle of Atlanta, crossing the street. Does that remind you of what happened at the beginning of, what was the end of the year? With this CEO of United Healthcare? I hope it reminds you, because it reminded me when I first heard it. I said, well, Trump is president again. Yes, he wasn't officially sworn in, but they had already gotten the real. They don't waste any time. They got the wheels rolling. These mysterious assassinations of judges and CEOs in broad and lawyers in the middle of busy, popular, very popular cities in broad daylight, and nobody sees anything. All the cameras in the world, right? But you can't even get through a stoplight on a yellow without getting a picture taken of your face clear as day and mailed to you talking about, oh, you ran a red light. But nobody can see who's unaliving these people?
Minutes after she filed legal requests at a federal courthouse for all U.S. and state of Georgia documents relating bombing of the I-85 bridge.
Good morning, folks. We're going to try doing this supplemental video. Start date 4/2/2017, coming to you from planet Earth. Guess what happened to the I-85 bridge? The official conclusion is it went poof. We can't say the B word, because if we do, we get edited and audited and all kinds of bad things happen. Apparently, the bridge collapses and chokes off traffic, but someone said they heard explosions. Boom, boom, boom. Poof. So somebody went in and started photographing what happened at the bridge. And guess what they found? First of all this material has been removed in 24 hours.
Well, you see, people were really on top of it. They went and said, They went and they were the 9/11 part of the generation that didn't die off already, so to speak. You know, where they're like, we're checking this out. And this woman, this attorney, was one of them. She's one of the people who stuck her nose in the wrong place, and she found some stuff out, and she was about to whistle blow the hell out of it, and they stopped her in her tracks on a crosswalk. An assassin walked up to her and shot her, just like what happened with the United Healthcare executive.
At the base. Those pillars were blown at the base. No rebar. Not an expansion joint. Expansion joints are built with a lip.
He's showing us that the bridge was BOMBED, and that it wasn't just a collapse, and people heard it. So he talks about it. I want to go forward a little bit.
Be rebar sticking out. Yeah. How many bridges have you built? I built quite a few. In the Army, we build them. If you believe that this was a three homeless men who threw a joint onto a pile of optic cable worth hundreds of millions of dollars that had sat under the bridge for 10 years, then you probably believe that the passport that fell out of an airplane crashing into the World Trade Center and was found at the bottom of the World Trade Center without even being singed was real. And you might even believe that the plane hit the Pentagon.
Yeah. So they said some homeless people were smoking on, and then they set some stuff on fire. No,
She may have been targeted.
It happened on Peachtree Street.
In this country, we're built to be blown.
Well, a woman is shot and killed while crossing the street in Midtown, and police say she may have been targeted.
It happened on Peachtree Street. It's still not known who shot her. And Christy Hutchings with News Radio 1067 spoke with a witness who heard the shots and saw the man running away.
Doesn't this remind you of what happened with the United
in the morning, there
Healthcare?
were city crews out here working, people on their way to work. But when those shots rang out, everything came to a halt.
Similar thing is this was early morning, just like with the United Healthcare executive. This was early morning. That's the similarity. It was in the middle of the busy streets. That's the similarity in a very popular city with cameras and high-tech surveillance everywhere. That's my point. This wasn't in the middle of Podunk, Appalachian Mountains, whatever. This was in the middle of Atlanta. The other one was in New York. And they don't know who did this. Lies. So here's the witness.
I was on my route coming down Peachtree, and I heard the 3 gunshots.
Tony Booker says moments later, it was chaos.
And I look up, and I just see the woman. She just drops. Boom! She drops in the crosswalk, bleeding. She like clutching her wound, trying to keep pressure. And then as she went unresponsive. So civilians, they run out here, and they try to give her chest compression to bring her back while they holding pressure on her wounds.
But the woman wouldn't survive. She died at Grady. Now police have to try to figure out who did this and why. Lieutenant Ricardo Vasquez says at this point, Atlanta police speculate she was walking to work. Officers canvassed the area looking for witnesses and any video, but a motive, that's unknown.
I don't think we can rule out anything at this point. Again, very, very early in the investigation.
Tony can't forget what he saw moments before the shooting.
There wasn't no domestic dispute. It was just she was walking across with her bag like she was going to work or something, and he just boom, 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 and he just takes off. And so it was just.
Does that not remind you exactly of what they said happened with the United Healthcare guy? And let me say this too. The way that the Cook County judge was unalived, somebody walked up to him in front of his house and gunned him down. I just want to let you know that. He was getting out of his car. This is very similar. And when I heard the story about the United Healthcare executive, I was like, well, welcome to the Trump administration.
It's crazy.
An I-85 investigator was gunned down in Atlanta yesterday. They identified the victim, and they're claiming that the suspect on Channel 46 had all dark clothing. Witnesses say Channel 46 lied. Here is a picture of the shooter.
Now, does this not remind you of the same BS they gave to us when the CEO was unalived? Yes, thank you, Caleb. Exactly. Now, remember when the CEO was unalived in the middle of New York City? There are cameras everywhere. You cannot. There's cameras everywhere. In the middle of New York City, in the morning, busiest time, broad daylight. All you can see is some black hoodie, and no, it's exactly the same. Watch what they say. They got the guy on camera, but he's just this dark figure. Remember when they first, when the CEO was on the live, they're like, "Has anyone seen a guy riding a bike with a black hoodie and you can't see his face?" Like that's everybody. Like, stop playing in our face, sis. You can see everything. You can see everything. They can see you if you steal something from out of the iPhone store in New York City. They can see you from outside the store through the glass with cameras. But they don't, it's always like, we don't know who this is, but if you find out, and then later on they find out, oh, it was this one dude who just lost his puppy one day and he swore that he was going to unalive the CEO when he grows up to be 21. No, you're lying. You're lying to us. And even if it is that person, Luigi, he's under some type of MK Ultra mind program Manchurian candidate, which that is not pseudo. It's known that people can be programmed to be assassins. They have tons of super soldiers, tons of Nikitas, tons of people working for the CIA who are just raised and groomed to be assassins. And they actually are like sleeper cells around in every country around the world until they're activated to go do their mission. And the regime is behind it. But look, it's exactly the same. They're going to show this guy covered it. He did a great job. They're like, and here's the figure. And it's just like, you can't even see who this is. Just somebody wearing dark clothing.
His iris patterns have been identified, which means we know exactly who he is. The Atlanta police has the data and they're not pursuing him.
Oh, so they're saying that. I didn't even catch that part. They said they found his iris. So they could look at this, everybody. Hear this out. Back then, they said they saw his iris patterns. So why couldn't they detect the iris patterns of the person? Or maybe I missed it. They said they did find it. Whether or not Luigi is the one who did it, there's a bigger reason. Nobody goes in broad daylight and just KILLS somebody out of emotion and then just walks away calmly. Like, that is a very, very professional KILLER. That's a professional assassin.
So what happened, may you ask? After the state of Georgia Department of Transportation released information clearly stating it stored non-combustibles under the I-85 bridge, people began to wake up, like UPS. Why are our trucks being rerouted, and why is it costing us all this extra money? In fact, if you look at the photos we showed yesterday, there was no stored material under the bridge, and those pillars were solid, not hollow, and they were meant to be blown. So Trin filed a force majeure in the U.S. District Court to have all information about the CIA and FBI takedown of the I-85 bridge released.
The woman who was killed, her name is Trin, she filed a force majeure in U.S. District Court, and she wanted all the information about the FBI and the CIA takedown of the I-85 bridge. So obviously she was asking for it. Get what I'm saying? She was saying, I want to see that information now.
The force majeure would hold all parties involved harmless, including the deep state FBI and CIA departments. She then stepped out of the federal courthouse and was shot 3 times by an FBI.
I don't want to read that part. So that's allegedly. I'm not saying that, but okay. So let's go forward. Here she is in the picture. She found out something she shouldn't have found out. This is the bridge right here. I want to show you this.
Sort of on parallel streams here. I'm going to step out of the way here. You can see police are here. Beyond the police barriers there, you have a lot of contractors who've been arriving from the Cobb County, the Marietta Company.
I said already doing reconstruction the next day of the look at this, y'all. The bridge BLO, it blows up, right? The next day they're doing reconstruction. They didn't even do a thorough investigation. The next day they were doing reconstruction and they claim they are investigating why it caught fire. It didn't catch fire. It exploded. How are you going to investigate it and do reconstruction? That doesn't make sense. And no, we already know, what happened to it. So I'm just going to go forward a little bit.
Surplus construction material under the highway. He says it is locked, it was secured, and
They said it was surplus material that caught on fire. Lies. Okay, let me go forward. Look at this. Donald Trump.
Atlanta now with this section of 85 out of the way, and they need everyone to really do their part.
Congratulations. Great job. Thank you. That's good. Highland. Yes, that's okay. That is fantastic. Thank you. How are you?
Fine, sir.
We're going to go around, introduce ourselves, okay? We'll do this first. You know these folks back here, they're very famous, most of them. It's called the media. They're very honorable people. But you're more honorable, I can tell you that.
Thank you, sir.
So I'm honored to be here with you today and welcome you to the White House. The heroes who responded to the terrible bridge collapse on I-85 2 weeks ago in Atlanta. That was something. It was the whole world was watching that one. Today we're joined by members of the Georgia State Patrol, the Atlanta Fire Rescue Department, and the Atlanta Police Department. Great people. On that day, Georgia State Police and Atlanta Police took fast action to get motorists away from danger. Then our brave firefighters battled 40-foot flames, which was incredible.
Oh, you remember that, right? That wasn't just a fire from under the bridge. It was an explosion. So he's going to talk about some stuff.
And the true strength of America.
Hold on.
I approved it literally the day that it happened.
You see
I had
this?
a feeling you'd need a little money.
Watch this.
Stands with you.
He's going to talk about once it happened, he approved funding. The day it blew up, y'all, he approves funding to go ahead and reconstruct it. The day it happened. Hear me out. Not funding to help people, not funding for the, to help the fire department. Just listen.
We've already made a $10 million emergency relief funds available. And I called your governor, who I know very well, who's a terrific guy, and approved it literally the day that it happened. I had a feeling you'd need a little money because that looked like a big money deal, right, Elaine? But I approved it immediately, and Elaine took care of it, and we gave fast action.
He approved that for the reconstruction of the bridge. And how is that funny? I thought you might need a little money. That's where's the joke in that?
What happened in Atlanta is a painful reminder of the critical importance of infrastructure.
You heard him. You heard him, right? Didn't I tell you at the beginning of the stream? Listen to Trump. Watch out for him trying to change infrastructure. Talking about how the United States infrastructure is outdated. It needs to be reconstructed. It needs to be made better. There's truth always on the surface of the sinister agenda. Yes, but you're not doing this in the way it's to harm the people. It's to restrict travel. It's to keep people confined. It's to be able to benefit the agenda of the regime. It's not to help the lives of the people.
Feeling you'd need a little money because that looked like a big money deal, right, Elaine? But I approved it immediately, and Elaine took care of it, and we gave fast action. What happened in Atlanta is a painful reminder of the critical importance of infrastructure. Of the critical importance of infrastructure. Of the critical importance of infrastructure. We're going to be doing a lot with infrastructure. You'll be seeing that over the coming weeks. Tremendous amount. We're going to be doing a lot with infrastructure. You'll be seeing that over the coming weeks, tremendous amount. We're going to be doing a lot with infrastructure. You'll be seeing that over the coming weeks, tremendous amount. I'm committed to funding a massive nationwide infrastructure program. I'm committed to funding a massive nationwide infrastructure program to rebuild, repair, and construct the roads and bridges of the future of this country. To rebuild, repair, and construct the roads and bridges of the future of this country. This is necessary as a matter of both safety and economic growth, and it's necessary to improve our quality of life as Americans. We will also continue to seek proper funding for law enforcement and public safety in our country. And I thank you for the great job and the fast action. Really fantastic. A lot of bravery.
Okay, this is so old, but it's gonna talk a little bit about China. But this is the outdated stuff. Go find the modern stuff. I might find a video or something to show you what's going on there now. Okay. Lord, it's like Mexichina. It's like Mexico is so, you'll see.
This is truck traffic at the border crossing in Laredo, Texas. More than $3 billion worth of imports pass through this crossing alone every month, all headed north. Since the implementation of the North American Free Trade Agreement, the flow of imports from Mexico to the United States has exploded by more than 400% at just the Laredo crossing, as American manufacturers have rushed to take advantage of Mexico's cheap labor.
Ford Motor Company has made a decision to invest $9 billion in Mexico. And what this highway provides is a way for them to bring goods into the United States to be sold here with none of the jobs being located here.
The highway she's referring to is...
Did you hear what she said? You heard it, right? None of the jobs. Now you'll hear Trump say, I want to make the jobs back in. He's all cap. He's all cap. Because he can't do that because that's not the agenda. That's not the agenda for the regime. His administration is set to put restrictions on travel, to continue to put restrictions on health care, which in turn would cull the herd. His administration is set to start working on changing the infrastructure to also restrict travel, but also to facilitate the movement of goods between Canada and Mexico and America in between, United States in between. Now, those aren't the only countries involved. I didn't point that out because don't forget the highway also goes down to Florida, and then we've got, that connection between Florida and, we're going down into like other parts of the world, but I just want to focus on North America mainly. So, yeah, she just said it. The jobs aren't going to be. Of course, people might say, well, you said he's trying to bring it on China on U.S. soil. Yes, there will be jobs, Americans employed at these particular factories. But in the long run, it is not benefiting the U.S. stance in the world economy. It is benefiting China's position. And when China is positioned has a stronger position than the U.S., we're in big trouble because it's just a matter of time when they won't need us anymore. Like the Handmaid's Tale. The handmaid is just good enough to when they're trying to get her pregnant, and she's only important when she's pregnant, and once she has the baby to just like nurse the baby. Once that's over, they don't need her. They can exterminate her or kick her into another household. That's why the whore of Babylon is the United States. When you hear about that in the book of Revelation, United States is the whore of the entire country. Like she'll get in bed with the highest bidder or the one that satisfies I'm talking about the United States, what she wants at the time. And I'm going to change a she, he, the male prostitute. Okay. I'm using that, but in the Bible, it's a whore of Babylon, a woman, but we have male prostitutes. So when he wants to get in the bed with who he wants to be in bed with, the male prostitute gets in the bed with it, because this don't get it twisted. This regime is headed by very, very hateful men who don't care about women, don't care about children, and don't care about men who want to lead women and children correctly. You get what I'm saying? So I just want to play this again where you heard it, what she said. It's the jobs aren't going to be here.
There's actually several different projects collectively known as the NAFTA Superhighway. The routes are a combination of existing roads, planned expansion of others, new roads, and rail lines. The routes are a combination of existing roads, planned expansion of others, new roads, and rail lines. The project's funded with a mix of private, state, and federal funds. The trade route begins at Mexico's ports on the West Coast and runs all the way up to Kansas City. The facilities being developed there, known as the KC Smart Port. The project's aimed to expedite trade flow. The combination of reduced inspections at the borders, insurgent Chinese goods coming through Mexican ports are raising concerns about security. All the way up to Kansas.
Did you hear that? Reduced inspections. Yeah, that's another point. When it's domestic, it's not scrutinized as much as it would be scrutinized if it's coming from across the Pacific. So when we have China on the soil of North American soil, the imports aren't scrutinized like they should be. Now, one good thing is those who are not connected to the agenda, hear me out. The people who love the people, I'm going to look in the chat when I say this. The people who love the people, because there are people who are working against this, doing their part. They said, hey, wait a minute. There's poison in all this stuff. All these goods, these are actually laced with cancer-causing chemicals. Now, we might say, oh, that was an accident, and oh, that's how it is in China. No, stop. Don't play with me. Don't play with us. Say this to yourselves as if you're talking to the regime. Stop playing in our faces. Stop. Why are all of these Temu clothes and cups and all these great little things that we think are so cheap at these dollar stores, why are they turning out to be causing cancer or reproductive cancer, and they're laced with BPAs, and even though they say BPA free, they're actually lying. Somebody, bless them, a group of a committee and researchers and scientists said, all of these all these things that are coming from like China, they're killing people. And now they said, you have to put a warning on it. And they didn't want to do that. They didn't want to do that. So they said, damn, they know that we're spraying these clothes and creating these clothes and these cups and these things that are in people's homes. And toys for their children. We're making sure that it's poison. Yeah.
City. The facilities being developed there.
You see that? Richard Gabar Memorial Airport. This, when he says the facilities, they're talking also about airports. I want to get to the point where, just go watch the rest of this. It's almost over. I want to show you one more video I had about the airline and Donald Trump. So I did this one. These are years ago. And then where's the one about the airline? Here it is. So I did the Trump New World Order NAFTA Superhighway. This one, look at this. This one's his Trump travel ban and meeting with airline executives to put mandatory RFID implant for air travel. That's not the only thing he wanted to do. He wants to control travel. The regime does. You better travel now, because there's going to come a time when you won't be able to freely just hop on a plane or get in your car and drive somewhere or catch a boat somewhere. It's going to be restricted. So remember all these shows. I brought up the Handmaid Tale, It was a book, and then it was I think a movie, and then a series. That is real. How they had turned the United States into a place called Gilead in the story. When I'm saying it's real, it's like that really is happening. It's not, that's a fictional story, but those things are really happening. Okay. They couldn't leave their country. And even if they wanted to go to another city, they needed a good reason, and they were scrutinized, and they had to go through tolls. And this is already happening in a lot of countries. It's not anything new to the world. It's just the United States is getting ready to feel it. Okay, so in late January 2017, Donald Trump signed an executive order banning entry to traveling to the U.S. coming from select countries on a basis created by national defense. The estimated total people banned comes to 134 million travelers. Are you hearing this? This actually happened in the United States not too long ago. This happened 8 years ago. The president banned people from coming from other countries into you couldn't even come back here if you were like a resident and you were in another country. He put a ban on it. They do that as like a test run, like CVID was a test run. How far can they go? And he did it. 134 million travelers were banned from re-entering the United States. You see this madness? The order stated that it was only temporary, 90 to 120 days. That's 4 months. That's a long ass time to not be able to come home when you want to. And you don't have any money, you don't have anywhere to stay there. And that the ban was necessary in order to allow the U.S. to put in place provisions to security. Don't play, stop. Okay, I'm going to say it again. Stop playing in our faces. You're telling me that I can't come home because you need to stop illegal immigration? If you don't get the out my face, like these people couldn't even come back to the United States. Overstayed their visas. So you do realize that Latinos and Haitians aren't the only ones who are over here on illegal visas. I had European friends from Amsterdam. I had European friends from Switzerland. Switzerland, which is, people think, oh, they're so rich there. I had European friends from where else? Dublin, Ireland. They would stay here and they would work here. This is in the 90s. They would work here and be here illegally with expired visas. It's not just Haitians and Latinos. But come on, putting a ban on actually people coming back or traveling back into the United States because you want to stop illegal immigration. That wasn't what that was. It was another reason. It's because they want his administration is set to work on travel bans, controlling the airlines, controlling the highways, controlling all modes of travel and where we can go. So he called a meeting of airline executives to discuss how his administration will work together with the airlines, to make travel great again. Look at What happened today with that plane was not it's a part of the Trump agenda. Their administration works on travel bans, works on uh, reconstruction of the infrastructure of the United States, works on culling the herd. All of them do, but he's that's his specific work. So let's go forward and listen to this. So let me see here. Is this it? Hold on. Let me see. I'm going to show you a speech he did before he got elected the first time.
The biometric entry-exit visa tracking system, which we need desperately.
Did you hear that? Take a look at my Israelite brothers. Where's Bakwash? Did you hear him? This is one of his agendas. The biometric entry-exit visa tracking system. Biometric meaning fingerprints, eyeballs, DNA. Let's listen to that again.
System, which we need desperately. For years, Congress has required biometric.
He wants to have us tracked, y'all. Why do you think he's working with Elon Musk? He wants to be able to track us. He's saying it right out of his mouth that we should be tracked biometrically, meaning through our bodies. Through our bodies.
Entry-exit visa tracking systems, but it has never been completed. The politicians are all talk, no action. Never happens. Never happens. Hillary Clinton, all talk. Unfortunately, when there is action, it's always the wrong decision. You ever notice? In my administration, we will ensure that this system is in place. And I will tell you, it will be on land, it will be on sea, it will be in air. We will have a proper tracking system.
You heard him. You can't escape it. He's going to work on the travel ban. He's going to work on deterring air travel. He's going to do it all. It's already happened today, or the day, it's already yesterday. I mean, the plane collided with a Black Hawk helicopter. Now, y'all, come on here. They couldn't have two planes collide. You know why? Because they wouldn't do it. The two planes aren't going to collide. Whoever that was, I believe someone was on a self-unaliving mission. And unfortunately, the other people may not have been on board, no pun intended. But in that Black Hawk, somebody was told to be in the line and the path of that airplane on purpose.
Approximately half of new illegal immigrants came on temporary visas and then never ever left. Why should they?
So that's not just Mexicans. That's all immigrants do that everywhere. It's easy to find them. You don't need to make the whole United States citizenship go get, like RFID tracking implants. You just get ICE and you have ICE go out like they do with everything else and investigate. Okay, where was this guy last working? Oh, this guy, Jean-Pierre Cousteau from Paris, France, came over here and was working on a work visa and he lost his job. Okay, where did he live? In the city? Okay, let's send some people out there and find out where's his contact information. Oh, here he is. You don't need to put a biometric tracking system on everyone in the United States because of people overstaying their welcome. But we all know that. We know that's not really the reason. He uses that reason because those people who stormed the Capitol, they are blaming. First, they used to blame Black people for everything, but now Black people have, surpassed them economically, education. And really, when I say economically, I mean Black entrepreneurs. These people who are in the Proud Boys and all of these low-level neo-Nazis, They're not doing anything with their lives. So you can't blame black people because you're down. So you have to go ahead and blame the Mexican or the Latino. And Donald Trump feeds into that. So he can pretend that he's doing all of this to get rid of foreigners who are illegal immigrants and taking all the jobs. But really, it is because the agenda is being rolled out by the regime. We are in the Fifth Reich. We are in the Fifth Reich. And the way they want the world to be is super, super, super old men telling people what to do, having free reign and having access to your wives if they want them, being able to sleep with them, being able to kill your sons if your sons fight back, if your wives fight back. They can do whatever they want, use people, sleep with children, do whatever they want, what they'd have to do in the shadows. They resent us for that. They resent us that they can't practice pedophilia. They resent us that they can't just take a man's wife and sleep with her even though she doesn't want him, and grape women. They resent the fact that they can't, quote, grab women by the, the PUSSY, and nobody can say anything. They resent the fact that there are men and women who say, I can live my life the way I want to live my life. You don't tell me what to do. I am a citizen of the United States and I don't harm anybody. So you're not going to, they resent that. They get off on telling you where to walk, what time to go to sleep at night, when to be inside your house, just like Nazi Germany, just like during CVID. And as you see, this Fifth Reich, is super full force, and Donald Trump is doing his part, according to what he's being told to do, his administration, by the regime. And he blames immigrants.
Nobody's telling him to leave. Stay as long as you want. We'll take care of you. Beyond violating our laws, visa overstays pose, and they really are a big problem, pose a substantial threat to national security.
Why do you think he's saying that, by the way? Okay, I got it. People overstay their visa, and it sucks because, now you're here and you're not supposed to be here. It hurts the economy. I agree. But guess what? He's saying they're dangerous. Why do you think so? So they can be executed. Pretty much when we'll get to the point where if you're here and you're not supposed to be here, it's legal to execute these people and hang them on the wall as an example. You don't help people who try to sneak into this country, and you don't help people when the travel bans are up and all the borders are strengthened and the biometric tracking system. You don't help people try to get out. And if you do, you're done for because you're dangerous. He's saying these people are you've got to listen to that. He's saying they're dangerous, that they're putting our lives in danger. So when someone's putting your life in danger, you have the right to defend yourself, right? With lethal force if need be.
The 9/11 Commission said that this tracking system should be a high priority and would have assisted law enforcement and intelligence officials in August and September 2001 in conducting a search for two of the 9/11 hijackers.
I know for a fact, and I'm going to say this, that is a lie. There were no two 9/11 hijackers. I sat and listened to people discuss the planning. Now, I'm going to say this is my opinion, so I won't get in trouble. And I'm not just talking about YouTube. This is my opinion from the things I heard, that I knew exactly what was going on. And it had nothing to do with any damn hijackers. That shit was being planned from June is when I heard it up until September. Basically from June up to August, to be honest. Because by August, I wasn't around certain people anymore. Like, I'm going to say end of August-ish. End of August-ish, maybe like the 1st of September even. I wasn't the person who I knew who was a part of orchestrating all of it, told me, you're not going to see me for a while. I'm going to have to disappear for a bit. I'll explain to you, blah, blah, blah. Later, I was like, what are you talking about? Just listen, ... You get in touch with this person if you need to talk to me. But, and so in case something happens to me, Mr. Joseph. You get in touch with Mr. Joseph if you need anything, he'll get in touch with me. But yeah. So it wasn't any hijackers. And I think President Trump knows that. But he has a script that he has to follow. Even you don't have to be somebody who was sitting with the people planning it like I was. You know already. The research, the documentaries, the facts showed it was impossible for those, like the man said at the beginning of in the other video, their passports just happened to be lying on the ground outside of the wreck, or like of the Pentagon. So they planned it to hit the World Trade Center buildings, and they planned it to hit the Pentagon and it's just two dudes. And the third building that they didn't even want to tell us about, that we had to find out by doing research that the third building had collapsed. It's just a bunch of bullshit. Excuse my language. But they want us to forget. Do not forget 9/11. Do not forget those who lost their lives, of course, first and foremost. But don't forget that humongous, traumatic psyop that was done on the world. Not just on the United States and the citizens of the United States, on the world. COVID was another trauma. Am I saying that the pandemic wasn't real? No, I'm not saying that. Because airplanes really did hit the Twin Towers and well, they hit the Twin Towers, but Building 3, remember, y'all forgot, Biggie put it in his song way before 9/11, 2001, there was a explosion in the basement, the base area of the World Trade Center. It didn't work though. So the people that I sat with, there were young men in their 20s who would check in and say, well, we did this, we did that. We had some issues this time. There was security there, but the guy, we just talked to him. He was nice, blah, 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 ha, 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 eat. They would eat and talk. And turns out that in these wonderful documentaries, you can see that there were spots of the building, the infrastructure of the towers, where things were implanted to be detonated. You do the math, because I don't want to get flagged. Probably still will anyway, but I hope not. Things were planted in the infrastructure, in the mainframe of the buildings, to be detonated. All three buildings. So him talking about, we got to do this just like that. Now, these are the airline executives that he actually worked with, putting a ban on travel. And listen to them talking about they worked with Donald Trump. They talked to the president, but they don't want to answer any questions to the media. Isn't that weird? If it's so laid back and so great for the economy and the people, why are they being so unresponsive, kind of like they don't want to answer any questions? Why aren't they talking? When the media is asking them questions, they're just not even saying anything back. They're just walking away from the mic. Watch. These are the airline executives. Please hit the like button if you want.
I'm with you, the American people.
Listening, please, and on executives fresh out of their meeting.
We had a great meeting with the president. He is fully committed to knock down doors to help us get new airports, which we badly need, to basically take care of regulatory reform in a big way, and especially he's committed to creating jobs, and he fully understands that aviation is an industry that if we take off the regulatory burden and put the will behind it, that we can create fabulous new airports and
Did you just hear it?
Tens of thousands.
Are you hearing this woman? if we take away the regulatory burden, excuse the hell out of me. What? Do you hear the language here? So you don't want to have airline travel and aviation to be regulated by the federal government with the regulatory measures that are already set in place. You want new regulatory measures. This is what I'm talking about with that crash yesterday. And with what happened with him with the ban, and even when we go back to the CVID, all of these things are linked. And of course, 9/11. They don't want us to, oh God, I'm gonna say the F word. They don't want us to travel freely. So when you hear, oh, they want to take away regulatory measures, people go, yeah, no government, yay, no laws. No, dummies. If they take away the federal regulations of the airlines, then basically they get to do whatever the hell they want to do. They don't have to follow any set governmental rules that are voted on, and pretty much the people say, we don't like this, and so I'm going to go to the government because the government has rules that you have to do this and this. So government, I know I'm talking about the regime, but the government is of the people. Hear me out. And this goes back to Donald Trump's actual presidency. I can't get into it right now, but he was promised, or I say promised because the research I did, but he was set to become president way back in the 80s. He knew exactly which president he would be. And he knew that it would be 33 years from the point that okay, remember he always wanted his own airline. He was always like, I want my own airline. And I think he tried to do it and it failed. But basically he was trying to start his own airline before there was even the FAA in position, in existence. And I'm going to get that information. I'm just going to fact check myself and see when was the FAA formed. When? Okay, hold on. Okay, let me see. Oh, shit. Okay, so I must be wrong about that one. See, that's why I had to double check it. But there is something that I have to double check it, but it was in 1958. But there was something, so that is why I checked it. It was something about in the 80s. I think there were more laws added or something, restrictions. Oh, here it is. When did the FAA start modernizing airspace? See, y'all should appreciate me because I don't want to just be up here giving you false information or wrong information. So when did the FAA start modernizing airspace? By the 1980s, the FAA identified the need for systematic long-term plan for the agency's modernization in 1982 of January. The FAA publicly released its 20-year national airspace. Hold on. This is what happened. This reform was made. And when I said the 80s, it wasn't that it was formed in the 80s. It was, let me finish reading this. Sorry. Okay, functions of the FAA. Let me get to the part that I was just reading because I had to click on it and then it took me to the top of the page. Sorry. Where is it? Let me see. Just bear with me. Okay. So, history. The Federal Aviation Administration operates within the U.S. Department of Transportation and regulates all civil aviation in the United States and its surrounding waters and territories. It was established in 1958, replacing the Civil Aeronautics Administration. Okay, let's keep reading. Functions of the FAA. The FAA has several integral functions, including but not limited to regulating commercial space for transportation, air navigation facilities, flight inspections, issuing or suspending pilot certificates, regulating civil aviation to encourage safety, developing operating systems of air traffic control in both civil or military operations, and developing programs to control aircraft noise. So they do a lot to help the civilian, okay? Within the FAA, there are 5 business divisions. I just want to get to the part I was just reading, though. Where's that at? Hold on. Bear with me, okay? Security and hazardous materials. They reduce there's risk reduction and mitigation of terrorism and other crimes. There's investigations and security for material safety. So they do a lot. While the FAA is headquartered, listen to this, family. Remember, this thing happened over in Washington, D.C., this crash. While the FAA is headquartered in Washington, D.C., it also maintains a technical center in Atlantic City and an aeronautical center in Oklahoma. Regional centers are also stationed in Anchorage, Seattle, Los Angeles, Fort Worth, Kansas City, Chicago, Atlanta, New York, and Boston. Okay, so let's keep going. 5 key moments in the FAA history. FAA was formed at the approach of the jet travel era and was due to several mid-air collisions. So do you hear this? Okay, so people are going to say, well, wait a minute, Nepal, you're saying that we need the FAA to help with safety, but what about that crash that happened yesterday? Exactly. Do you see past what they're doing? They're like, this FAA isn't working at all. They're supposed to protect people. That's why Donald Trump came right out and said, that shouldn't have happened. It was in the clear as day. I don't see why that happened. Let's start investigating the FAA. What are you guys doing over here? Right, people? Right, family? Right, audience? We need to get rid of them. We need something new. They're not efficient. So it says they are the ones that help, that prevent mid-air collisions. Do you know how many flights are going on a daily basis? Hundreds. And they've got this down to a science. No plane is there. There's not just a bunch of chaos and like a helicopter, a Black Hawk helicopter just appears in front of a plane. The Black Hawk helicopter is getting communication from the air tower just like the airplane is. There's no reason that they should have been in that path. And the FAA regulates that and works. They're the ones that air traffic control. Okay. But when we have this crash like that, number one, it's going to make people afraid to travel. And it's going to also put the microscope on the FAA on, and how they're regulating the skies. And then they're going to be on trial. And pretty much what the agenda is to change this regulatory system. Like you heard this woman saying, we just want to get better airports. That's funny because nothing changed about the airports really. Have you been to St. Louis, Missouri, the airport there? It is sad. It is sad. It's like an airport from the 80s. And a lot of different airports are terrible. Like, oh my God, where's that one airport at? LaGuardia? When the gate for certain airlines, it's ridiculous. It's chaotic. So I don't see where he fixed all these great things were done in his term during his term. What these airlines are talking about. But I just went on. But I just want to correct myself because where's that information that I was reading? It was formed in 1958. Okay. But I gotta find what happened in the 80s. What changed? Introduce a bill. Let me get it, y'all. Let me find it. Because I just want to be, they had a lot of hijacking or increased number of hijackings in the 60s. That's true. Okay. Deregulation of airline industry. Let's read this. by Airline Deregulation Act of 1978. By using improved radar and computer technology by the mid-1970s, the FAA had achieved semi-automatic ATC systems. However, following the Airline Deregulation Act of 1978, which relinquished economic regulations of airliners, saw a nationwide strike from the ATC union in 1981. This is what I was talking about, because Donald Trump was a part of this right here. This thing that they're about to start talking about. This required flight restrictions, and following the strike, it saw a new plan for automating its air control facility. You might be like, how is Donald Trump a part of that? I did a whole video, like a documentary on it, but YouTube took the video. By the late 1970s, Congress had authorized additional work for the FAA to undertake, which included defining noise pollution contours, noise mitigation through residential retrofit programs. Many of these charters were implemented through the 1980s. Advancements in technology. By the 1980s, the FAA identified the need for systematic, long-term plan for the agency's modernization. Here it is. So, go from that strike in 1981, Donald Trump and his, his family, his money, his businesses were very much involved in this situation with that. I'll get into details when I can remember them specifically. But from that moment, Donald Trump knew exactly 33 years from the date that he had negotiated some type of agreement with TWA, Trans World Airlines, and exactly 33 years from the time he did that, he became president. I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. The National Airspace System. Okay, this plan would see the development of state-of-the-art ATC and air navigation systems to enable growth within the sector. By February 1991, the FAA replaced its NAS plane with its capital investment plan, which was to see high levels of automation, including radar, communication, and weather forecasting. So they updated their systems. Let's see. The rapid evolution of the aviation industry continued throughout the 90s, and this saw the development of the Aviation Safety Research Act in 1988, marking greater emphasis on research on aging aircraft structures and their performances. This also included the improvement of runways and corrosion on aircraft structures. Okay, so basically, you're listening to that saying, so what? The FAA did so much. They made so many changes. Let me look it up. Since I'm talking about it, I got to see if I can find out Donald Trump and his ties to TWA. Donald Trump and his airline strikes. Okay, let's see what comes up here. All right. Of course, nothing's going to come up because it's so sad. Oh, let's listen to this. Huh. What do you know? I just found something on Newsweek. Timeline of Donald Trump's impact on FAA prior to the DC plane crash. Now, for me, I'm thinking they're going to praise him. I'm just guessing. I don't know what y'all are going to think, but I'm going to play this. Let me read it. A deadly midair collision between an American airline passenger passenger jet and a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter near DC has raised questions about. Look at this. Oh my God! I swear I didn't even look at this. I didn't even Damn, y'all. I didn't even Google this. I didn't even research it. I just knew. Check this out. There has been no FAA director since January 20th due to Elon Musk. Wow. Oh my God. Didn't know that. Look at this right here, you guys. Look at this. Remember what I said? Look at this article. They didn't waste any time. This was yesterday. Listen to this. A deadly midair collision, we already know that, has raised questions about air traffic control staffing and leadership transition in the Federal Aviation Administration. What did I just say earlier? What were we just talking about earlier? That they're going to start looking at the FAA. Oh, why did this happen? We need to see what's going on with the FAA. What are you talking about? Why was this Black Hawk just chilling in the pathway of this jet? In you know what I'm saying? But no, they go straight to, and damn Newsweek, okay? They go straight to what we said the agenda would be. Look, has raised questions about air traffic control staffing and leadership transitions in the Federal Aviation Administration. The crash, which claimed the lives of 67 people, that's to hit us home, right? Aboard both vessels occurred just before President Donald Trump announced his appointed 22-year FAA veteran, Christopher Rocheleau, as acting FAA administrator. Really? It just before he announced this guy as his appointee, the crash happened? Following the resignation of is this supposed to be a coincidence, family? No, I told you why it matters. The FAA is responsible for overseeing air traffic control operation and ensuring aviation safety across the U.S. The collision has raised concerns about staffing shortages and administrative changes, and it may have impacted air traffic management. Had Ronald, you could see it before I even read. I'm so flustered because it's like, God dang, it's so clear. That's what they were doing. This is just to get rid of the way things are and get them the way they want things to be, so they can tell us where we can go and all that stuff that they were talking about that was in the skies over Jersey and New York. That was also to attack the FAA. That was also when I say attack, I'm not saying the FAA isn't government. I'm saying so we can be like, yeah, okay, I guess so. If y'all think the FAA isn't doing right, because I don't want to get on a plane and crash, and I don't know what those things are over them. Who's controlling that airspace? Oh yeah, go ahead and make some changes to the FAA, and now we're screwed. Get what I'm saying? Deregulate that. Deregulate this. Just hear me out. If they deregulate a lot of this air travel, can you imagine they will have private companies and private so-called the private sector being able to say, okay, I'm just throwing this out here. People can come for me if they want, but I'm just giving an example. Like, we can fly whenever we want, and we can do this the way we want. We can fly as low as we want because this is our area and this is what we do. There's reasons for the regulations. I'm not saying they're perfect, but we need these. This has been going just fine for decades. But here's Donald Trump and his lying ass. Oh, this was broad daylight. This shouldn't have happened. You're damn right. Why was a Black Hawk? Why was a government military aircraft in the pathway of a commercial jet? And why the hell didn't they get out the way? An internal FAA report found that staffing in the airport air traffic control tower was, quote, not normal for the time of day and volume of traffic. This is such a setup. A single controller was responsible for handling both helicopter and airplanes, tasks that are typically divided between two controllers. I told you, couldn't even make this up. Who was FAA Chief Mike Whitaker? When did he step down? Black Hawk helicopter may have gone off flight path. You see this mess? Did Donald Trump make changes to the Aviation Safety Advisory Committee? The Trump administration had made changes within the FAA, including the Aviation Safety Advisory Committee. Oh, really? They had this shit planned. Allegedly. According to the Association Press, Aviation Security Advisory Committee members received a memo on January 21st. That was 9 days ago from the crash, indicating that the department was removing membership, part of the, quote, commitment to eliminating the misuse of resources and ensuring the DHS activities prioritize our national security. He got right on it. Y'all, he got right back on it. The stuff that I was showing you from his last administration, they're right back on it. The move came just days before Trump signed an executive order offering all federal workers a, quote, deferred resignation, allowing them to resign immediately and get paid through September 2025. Did Donald Trump freeze hiring of air traffic controllers? There has been ongoing online debate over whether hiring freezing under Trump administration contributed to the current staffing shortage in the air traffic control. As part of the hiring freeze, no federal civil position that was vacant at noon on January 20th would be filled, and no new positions would be created unless required by law under the president's orders. Trump's order does not apply to military personnel or positions related to immigration enforcement, national security, or public safety. As previously reported by Newsweek, it's unclear whether the freeze prevents the FAA from hiring new air traffic controllers or if these roles fall under public safety professionals. There's no indication that the executive order directly played a role in the accident involving the two aircrafts. And why are you bringing it up? Anyway, this is too much. Oh, God. Yeah, no, it's just too much. Let me see this. I switched to non-corporate news. I watched an independent news on YouTube called Secular Talk. Okay, great. We should check that out. Thank you. So, yeah, deregulating air traffic would be disastrous. Exactly. And people are cheering for that. Exactly. People don't understand. What they did was against federal regulations, but we can't see it on the surface. I could just finish playing. I just want you to see how these executives are totally coming forward, acting like Donald Trump did so great. Oh, we love talking to him. We want to get our airlines fixed up. And none of that happened. Talking about deregulation. Okay, look at this. Then I'll close it out.
Jobs in very short order. He's committed to creating jobs, to knock down doors, to help us get new airports, which we badly need, to basically take care of regulatory reform in a big way. And especially he's committed to creating jobs, and he fully understands that aviation is an industry that if we take off the regulatory burden and put the will behind it, that we can create fabulous new airports and tens of thousands of jobs in very short order. Great meeting.
She's saying that we could just get rid of the regulatory measures so we can, because it's an industry. No, we need those regulations to keep people safe.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Ginger Evans. I'm the Commissioner of Aviation for the City of Chicago.
She thought the woman was asking her a real question, so she came back and answered that. But watch when the media is asking them stuff, they just walk away and don't even answer.
Hello, I'm Bill Vanasek. I'm the Director of Aviation for the Buffalo Niagara International Airport and the current Chairman of ACINA. The meeting with the President was wonderful. He really talked about how airlines and airports will work together to overcome significant funding issues in the industry and how we can create airports that are the rivals in the world. We certainly plan to have more conversations with both the President and our airline partners on making airports in the United States the best they can be. We want to make Americans' airports great again.
Did you talk about raising the PFC charge?
Notice how he ignored her. Why did he ignore her? Why would he ignore her? He's not like Drake or somebody like Drake. Did you kiss that 15? Like, why didn't you answer her question? Why did you just back up? Because you know what time it is. You know that you're scared to go off script.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Gary Kelly from Southwest Airlines, and we've had a delightful meeting with the president and his staff. I'm also delighted to report that we're very well aligned on at least some very key topics: income tax reform, regulatory reform, and especially growing our industry. And we need to invest.
Notice they all come forward and say regulatory reform, meaning get rid of the FAA and start looking at this privatizing shit. You understand? Which, when I say privatizing, I mean like the whole industry of airline travel. I get it. People say, well, Southwest is a private company, but it's regulated by the federal government. And it's very strictly regulated because we're talking about safety and the way things move. Now, of course, Donald Trump, it's going to happen, but still we have a voice as people. And I'm saying I'm not completely I'm not an anarchist. And I know that we're very, our arms are short when it comes to these powers that be. However, the way things are right now with regulations isn't going to work with Donald Trump, with the regime's plans, because they need to change everything we know about travel. They need to be able to stop us from going where we want to go. You understand what I'm saying? So all these people stepping forward, these big wigs of these airline companies talking about regulatory reform. It's happening right now.
Invest in the infrastructure. We're especially keen
There's that word. Remember, infrastructure.
On modernizing the air traffic control system. So I was delighted to see how well aligned we are. And again, it was just a very, very good meeting. So thank you all very much.
About the immigration ban and the effect on your airlines and airports?
Why didn't he answer that question? That's a good question. They're asking him. Did you talk at all about the airline ban? This is back when they had the ban for air travel, people coming to the United States from certain countries. Why did you just walk away and didn't even answer that? Shame.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Bill Flynn. I'm CEO of Atlas Air Worldwide. Our focus is mostly freight and express traffic, and so we share the same views that you've heard from my colleagues here from the airports, as well as Gary Kelly from Southwest. Really, the meeting focused on what kind of initiatives and actions can we take that will improve the overall experience for our passengers, for our customers, make the contributions we want to make to the communities that we serve, and then how do we do our business such that there's more opportunities for our employees, as well as the opportunity to create new jobs and high-quality jobs in the aviation industry overall. We talked about the significant contribution that our industry makes to our economy.
You notice he's talking about the people, the economy, more jobs, more people, the economy. Now watch when they ask him some questions, he just walks away. You're so for the people, but you can't even answer any questions for the media, for the people to hear.
And it was a good free flow of ideas. It frankly was unique, I think. We haven't had a meeting like this as an industry with the president. And I come away from it excited and very optimistic about what we can achieve. Thank you.
They all just were on the script. So anyway, that's enough of that. Watch out for Donald Trump, the Fifth Reich. I don't know what the brother meant. Well, like, where did I get, what proof do I have? But I know, right, Latoya? But that's who's behind this, the regime. And it's going to be fat cats from all around the world. Thank you, Caleb. I'm glad. I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody in here. Thank you so much, Latoya. I see you. Boss Trucker. And by the way, Boss Trucker, I did send you the link. Did I send it to you, Latoya? I got to send it to you. That's it. Do your research. We are in the Fifth Reich. I'm going to try to do more videos about the Fifth Reich. People think it ended with the Third Reich. People think it was just Nazi Germany. No. That is a worldwide network, whatever you want to call it. And they've never stopped. Their agenda's still going. All right. It's late. I appreciate you guys being here with me. It is late where I am, so I know it's late where you are, early where you are. Please hit the like and leave some comments if you do some research and you have some stuff that you want to like point me to, that on my next one I do, we can talk about it. But yeah, it's crazy. That thing that happened with that crash was 100% planned. I'm going to get you that information about Donald Trump and TWA too. I'll see you guys for the debate tonight. I'm going to send you the link right now, Latoya, before I forget. All right. Peace and love to the darkest minds of the light.